You work so hard. You show up every day. You do what's expected of you. But deep down, you know the truth. One paycheck shouldn't decide how your life turns out. But what if your evenings meant progress? What if your weekends built freedom? What if your laptop became more than just a screen? This isn't about quitting your job. It's about giving yourself options. While others crawl, you start building. Quietly, consistently, and on your own terms. No pressure, no guessing. Just a clear system you can run after work, before work, or whenever life gives you a turn. That's what Goldmine on hustlesafrica.com is for.
Tuesday.
Haikuzo makasi ni watafute uongozi pamoja wasitafute.
Kweli una maana gani? Una maana wewe ni binadamu ya mavi ya kuku.
Mashamba yetu harambe.
Nguruwe kujikanga na mafuta yake. Na Afrika itakwisha.
Padani agosho. Ngai no mwega. Naendesho de.
Wakati hiyo ilikuwa ukisema ngwe ndani. Ngwe.
The guy the DCI said jumped out of the vehicle which was intercepted headed to Homa Bay from Kisumu through the window. That I will also be confirming to you is a pretense. The police know where he is. Lennox Omondi, who is always with James Orengo and also blogs for him. There is a gentleman, a thug called Vincent, but also called Mungiki from Manyata Estate in Kisumu. There is Otusa from Manyata Estate, Kisumu. There is one called Chumbinyiri, a well-known murderer from Manyata, Kisumu. There is Mose, another well-known murderer who has undergone several murder trials and is still undergoing some, also from Manyata, Kisumu. There is Omar from Kondele, a person who has been accused of robbery with violence and is currently facing trials for robbery with violence in several cases across the country. There is Owele Commander. There is Eze from Nyalenda. There is Festus, a well-known murderer currently in hiding, having multiple cases also and undergoing trial. There is Charo, currently having multiple murder cases. There is Ferrari from Baraka, Manyata, Kisumu. There is Aguambo from Baraka, Manyata, Kisumu.
Unfortunate that in this era, I can still manage to tell a fellow citizen that he or she cannot speak his or her mind. Baba used to say everywhere that I may not like what you say, but I will defend to death the right of you saying it. Because you have a right to say what you want to say. Ruto himself campaigned in 2022 in Homa Bay County. He was not attacked. No single person was killed. And imagine that time, Baba wanted to be a president. A Luo wanted to be a president. And nobody was hurt. Nobody was killed. Ruto went to Migori. Nobody was hurt. Nobody was killed. Right now, Luos are being incited against Luos. When you go to Central, Kikuyus are being incited against Kikuyus.
All right. Hello there, people of the internet. My name is RUTO Unveils Ndindi, and this is Political Day coming to you at 7:30 from the city of glasses, Nairobi, Kenya. Nairobi County. I'm in the studio with DCP Diehard, Mr. And I see Mr. Mundalo is also coming in. Mundalo, you can come in, please. Mundalo, you can come in. Go that way. Don't majestically walk in front of our cameras. Where wanna sit down, Mr. Mundalo? Yes. I'm going to report you to Jubilee Party for being late. Ama Jubilee Party likufa.
In Jubilee, I am a boss, so you can't report me to myself.
Oh, okay. That's good. No wonder he's dying.
Now you come late. Members are the biggest people in a political party.
Members?
Yes.
Okay, great.
I used to be a slave when I was an official.
Yeah.
You're a member, you are the boss.
You're the boss.
You're the boss.
All right, people of the internet, of course, you can hear the voice of Mr. Mundalo has just come in. Mundalo is a government apologist, people of the internet. It's very clear that we put that out of the way. We have Bolo, who, I don't know, is sitting on the fence. And by the way, I have the TikTok lawyer over there, Mr. Adrian. Adrian, do you think that Bolo, does she have a stand? She's sitting right on the fence.
She's just
the lady. Yeah, have you ever figured her out?
I am a representative of the people. All I want is good governance. I don't care who sits there. I want someone who is accountable.
Yeah.
Someone who is going to take us to where we need to be. So
yeah, so it is not Sifuna, it is not Wamunyoro, it is not Ndindi Nyoro. It is not, by the way, Wamunyoro and Ndindi Nyoro.
That is a good position. Those people said that, have they come out clear to say what they want to do?
Are you able to come in a little bit? Yes. Hey.
Me
good.
Myself, okay.
Right. So I think that she's a fence sitter.
No, that's absolutely a good position.
Is it?
Because
even Jeff is saying that she's a fence sitter.
Like I keep telling you every day.
I know fence sitters when I see them, because I once was sitting on the fence before 2021, where I had been directed that our party at the time was neutral before they listened to what the people were saying, whether it will be William Ruto or Raila.
Okay.
And that time was a very hard time because
I think fellows like the only time she can hold that position is for a few months. It reaches a certain point whereby you now have to make a choice.
Do you think her name is going to betray her?
It isn't.
I mean, it will.
It will depend.
My name will never betray me.
We are in Kenya.
I am a Kenyan citizen, and that's it.
Let me tell you, the last time we even had the Face the Nation town hall.
Okay.
I remember that time, the moment I was called Gashagwa.
Okay.
Everybody imagined that my work is to be insensible, to become anti-government. So they were surprised when you were talking outside. They were like, you are actually a brilliant fellow.
Yeah.
I thought you were about to say that we don't need Vision 2030.
Show me your friends and I show you who you are.
Yeah.
Those were strangers I met there. So
what is Wesley saying about?
I think you now need to have hair
about his party.
Like
I am saying that the name will betray her because we have a perception that if you are Oduor Jagero, you must have of course been a Raila supporter.
Yeah.
So now even when you say that you are not, people look at you funny. Are you a true Oduor, or is that Oduor PR?
Those days are long gone. I feel like those days are...
They're not gone.
I
don't think they're long gone.
We want them to be gone, but
we only have lawyers that don't support Sifuna like Mr. Mundalo over there.
Why are you deciding for me everything? You're deciding where I support.
I told you.
You're deciding who I don't support.
I told you.
And Mundalo is very envious of Sifuna.
He's very envious of Sifuna. Wait, have you heard that?
Mundalo is very envious.
This is a young,
to the point that he attacks the style in which Sifuna dresses. Of all things.
Okay.
Come on, Mundalo.
When have I attacked?
Let me tell you, Mundalo. You know, I was on this podcast when I told Jagero, I did not know which sub-tribe Sifuna comes from the Luya, and I told you, as soon as he begins, I will know his sub-tribes, I will understand the dynamics of the sub-tribes. Now I found out that Maragodis and Bukusus don't support each other.
Okay.
I had a man passionately said, mimi siwezi fuata Sifuna kama ile siku Musali alisimama, alikuwa na kura tu za hapa West, na hata Wabukusu hawakumpigia. I was shocked. I was like, oh, so there is that.
I think some of us are not in the business of supporting or lack of. We come here
of supporting
or lack of. We come here to give an in-depth view of exactly what the political terrain is.
Okay.
And I don't come here to please Linda Mwananchi sycophants.
Yeah.
I come to just address the issues as they are. But I don't
but you can also decide to mind your language.
But he's ready.
And which part of my language doesn't sound mindful?
But his language is very friendly so far.
He said Linda Mwananchi sycophant. sycophants.
But they are you can't
And
deny
who feels irritated?
Why would you call us sycophants?
Yes.
Whoever feels irritated,
the
that
shoe
means
fits.
the shoe has fit.
The shoe has fit.
Yeah, when
We're not irritated.
But
It's
just
disrespectful.
The shoe fits.
No,
Indian
he's just being
Cinderella
disrespectful.
wear the shoe.
What is going on today?
No, Cinderella, please wear the shoe. if it
No.
fits.
I think, but Mundalo is doing a great job at leaking Ruto, so he's just good where he is.
Yes.
Let us be sycophants and let us be radical in change in this country. That is correct, absolutely right.
All right.
it depends with age, Jagero. There are ages where you still use words like leak.
Yes.
Because you associate with them more than others. So you can proceed.
Yeah, that's. We have had a very tumultuous week.
Yeah.
You know, and I have the gentleman here. He's telling me how, crazy it was in Homer Bay, and I want to revisit that because Babu Owino is actually talking about what transpired there, and they have been hopping from one police station to the other, looking for somebody who should be able to go and arrest Olivetti and bring him in. And it's very interesting that they are looking for somebody to go and arrest Olivetti. There is also the issue of Kaluma. Kaluma has come out, guns blazing, naming names and calling on the people that they think were attacking people in Homer Bay. Then there was the issue of marginalization, and I'm so happy that I have Bolo here, who I'm going to ask you the issue of marginalization because this is a big topic. Mundalo is also here. He's going to be talking about the issue of marginalization. The guy who has got a lot of roads in Nyeri and everywhere else is also here to talk about marginalization. So I don't know how to start this conversation, but probably I should just open it up so that I give you 2 minutes to talk about what has happened, especially in Homer Bay, and where do we go from here? Mr. Wesley, I can start with you. I am going to be asking you about Ndindi Nyoro later on because I heard Matthew speaking and I was like, oh, this thing is, RUTO is actually barreling through Mount Kenya and things that are happening, right?
Okay. So, first, it's very unfortunate. We'll always keep on saying it is unfortunate, to the point that some of us saying that it is unfortunate that we are really harboring that goon culture are going to sound like broken records. Because I've sat on this same podcast, and I'm lucky today that Mundalo is here. I remember the last time I told him about goons in Olkalau. I told him goons were moving around with Prados and djembe sticks, carrying guns. And he told me, where do you see goons in Prados? And I told them some of my friends were held up in a hotel because goons came into that hotel, took over, told the staff to lay down, and my people were just held up in some boardroom somewhere, refusing to open the door. And the unfortunate thing about this situation is that whatever has happened in DCP is happening in Linda Mwananchi, and it will continue to happen. Unfortunately, right now, the heat for the government is coming from DCP and Linda Mwananchi. That is the truth of the matter, and that is how it is. So whenever you see a formation being attacked so violently, or people organizing so that they don't lose their support, or they seem that they still have control within their regions, it is to show you, and it's a testament of the growing force of that particular political movement. And that today we are discussing in Mwananchi, but it has also happened to DCP. We got stoned the other day when we were at a rally, and people were saying hii ni kawaida ya mambo ya DCP, wanaendanga wanaorganize watu wapande ingine warushe mawe so that their convoys seem like they've been damaged so that they can get sympathy. So when I hear people speak like that and then act tomorrow like it's a different culture that is coming from the people from government, because let me tell you, these goons are from people who support government. These people are afraid that if they don't organize these goons, that rally will become too mammoth. It will carry the headlines come Monday or Tuesday. We will be discussing Babu Owino and Sifuna for the next 1 week. They don't want that. And to show that the president, that they still hold some sway, wanavuruga rallies are his formation. So it's unfortunate that we see that. And the downside of it is that these goons will eventually come to a point where the government will have to deal with them decisively, because they are in the part of the political formation that is called expendable. It's like a barrel of a gun. Once it's done, you can throw it away. It has happened before when we had young men from the mountain who are used to terrorize people, and eventually when the government needed to save face, the first people they turned on were those then young men. So this is not new. This is something that we'll continue to see. So long as the government is losing popularity, those kinds of force are going to be there. Unfortunately for this administration, it was goons. In the previous administration, it was excessive use of police. So now this one has police and goons. So it's very unfortunate, Jagero.
The issue of, do you think that, can you draw parallels for me as far as Homa Bay is concerned? Do you feel like it was an extreme end of it? Or do you feel it was just the same thing?
I don't know how extreme looks like, Jagero, because when you listen to people from Linda Mwananchi, especially who are in that rally, they say they saw things they have never seen. But they tell you they are afraid for their country, which means there's a potential for it to get worse. Because now people are afraid, if this is just a campaign, a popularity contest, really, and they are exercising this kind of violence towards political formations that are against government, what happens when there is actually votes on the line? I do understand that at this stage, of course, the end goal is votes, but there is not an election tomorrow or next month. It's next year. So what happens when you are so close to the election? What happens when we see after nominations of parties around March? Well, then you will see real violence, because if right now there is no nominations of parties that have happened, right now there is officially no candidates for any party. People, it's all up in the air. Everybody is jostling to get the positions. So once you see those nominations get done, we will now see the true face of the government. So I can't say it's extreme, but I also cannot downplay how bad it was, because I have been in situations where there have been that kind of violence around me, and let me tell you, you constantly see your life flashing. Because when your Prado is speeding outside those situations, right, you're looking at people throw rocks at your Prado, the driver sway in some points to avoid barriers on the road, and you know that car could topple, and then you have a mass of 50 people with stones around you. Then now you have to deal with that. So you are constantly seeing life flashing before your eyes. So when I talk to my friends in Linda Mwananchi and they tell me that scenario, that ordeal was traumatizing, I understand them completely. But I tell them that is the nature of the government we are facing.
Bolo, the most interesting thing about this conversation of Homa Bay was I think there was the idea of tribe, the idea of Luo Gunism, and people thought that it was out of this world. Even I don't know whether in Olkalau there were roads that were blocked. Or there were.
Yes.
But then Bolo, that is very interesting, because it looks like a lot of people, when you read what people were posting online, there was a little bit of a tribal vibe to it. I don't know if you realize that, because then when he's saying that this is just happening everywhere, it happened in Olkalau, it was happening in Nakuru the other day. So perhaps, I don't know, and this is tied. My question is tied to marginalization, because it's a question that always comes up. Do you think that the Luo people have been marginalized historically for a long time?
Jagero, when Wesley talks about violence and the way he paints it, he seems to forget that in 2023 his party leader encouraged police brutality against protesters. He seems to forget that Gachagua once stood during the 2023 protests that were being led by the then Azimio, and encouraged it and said, police are just trying to keep law and order. We always, as a political class, people, they always forget that nobody has monopoly with the gun issues, and it could topple on any side. There has been some tribal connotation around what happened in Homa Bay, where conversations are gearing towards, it was in Luo Nyanza, we sort of expected this to happen. But we forget, Olkalau, as you've rightly put it, it was not a Luo Nyanza county. Kakamega, and I want you to remember, in Kakamega we even had, we had pro boxes that were being highlighted as carrying the machetes. We had a candidate who actually collapsed in the police station because what he was seeing was unbelievable. That was not a Luo Nyanza county. But those conversations, when we try and turn it in that manner, I think it's just continuously propagating some of those stereotypes that have always been there. when the Linda Mwananchi team was communicating about the violence that they've seen, that they've never seen anything like that, they're right to say so. Because in 2017, I was in the IBC Must Go protests. And I will tell you, Jagero, and even when we're bringing Baba from the airport, the violence that we saw then cannot be compared to the violence that we are seeing now. Because what we are seeing now is citizens from different political divides being paid and being incited to go and turn against each other and being equipped. Previously, it would be the citizens from one political divide going to protest and then having to protect themselves against the brutal force from the police. And even the police force at that time cannot be compared to what we are seeing now. So what we would see then is, of course, the tear gas, the water tanks, the bullets, which I'm not saying were okay. But what we are seeing now is coordinated attacks. For someone to tell you that I had to hop onto a motorbike to rush and catch a flight at Kabunde airstrip, and I had to pass goons, and every time I passed, I had to say tutam, ni tutam. And at some point, we had to get to a place and give 100 shillings. And the police were just watching, and they were not doing anything about it. It tells you that there were some instructions from somewhere. Because there is no country that has got law or respects the rule of law that would allow police to cooperate with these goons. And that's why I like when Wesley talks about the Mungiki, because what happens after 2027? I wonder if these politicians realize that they will need to maintain these people for two reasons. One, because they have encouraged, and these goons are now used to some amount of money every week or every other month. So what happens after the high political season has died down? But also two, because they've now formed enemies. It could turn against you at any other point. So you need to always ensure that you are protected, because you always have to watch your back. But now onto marginalization, all I will say is that, yes, we have been marginalized as an area for a very long time. However, that cannot be the escape route every other time we are being held accountable. Particularly Homa Bay, because that's where this conversation stemmed from. If you followed some of the Senate sittings over time, Homa Bay has always been questioned since Gladys Wanga came into government about its expenditure. Particularly, I'd like people to draw themselves to two things. The first is the recurrent expenditure, which is 60 to 70% of the amount that Homa Bay receives. That already, before we go anywhere else, is an issue. We had ghost workers highlighted in Homa Bay County. That is an issue. That is money that could have gone elsewhere, especially in a county where the pending bills are very high. In a county where people are complaining that the revenue collected is not being taken back into the local hospitals. In a county where there is a conversation about the climate fund and where it's going to. So I think we can't continue to blame marginalization, and that's why I like people who've been asking the governor, yes, you've been marginalized, but also show us what the 15 years of devolution has been for Homa Bay. What has that looked like? So yes, we've been marginalized, but it's about time now we start asking ourselves. We've had a chance. Look at counties like Mandera who've had to build from scratch. In another 10 years, if we are not careful, Mandera will be the county where everyone is saying, I want to take my child to study in Mandera. I want to take, because of the opportunities they're getting, because of the way they're building themselves there. In Mandera, Jagero, they have collapsed the bursaries. So education there is free. And regardless of whoever is governor, at the end of every year, the ladies who have performed the highest are taken to Turkey to study medicine on condition that you come back and your first immediate posting is at the county government. Tell me how in 10 years' time you will not be saying you're going to Mandera for health. So I think it's time we ask ourselves, what have you been doing since devolution came? Yeah,
Mr. Mundalo, I was with Joachim here and he was telling me some interesting things. First of all, he accused a few people. He said that Mumias used to remit to the government about 6 billion worth of taxes every year. He was telling me that Trans Nzoia was employing about 37,000 people. People that were waking up and going to the office. Mumias Sugar was doing around 40,000 people. And he was saying that why has the Western leaders actually collapsed these countries, these companies, because he was drawing an example that Kidero, who was the chairman of Mumias, was using a helicopter, lived in Karen, choppering his way to Mumias and coming back. And these are accusations that he was saying that they are the ones that were now packaging sugar. These are people from the Western region that were packaging sugar and then selling them as Mumias sugar. So when the issue of marginalization crop up, where do we draw the line between the marginalization, quote unquote, that has been inflicted by the national government and the marginalization, this what Joachim was calling self-marginalization?
I think Joachim, one thing, Jagero, not Joachim, the one thing we cannot run away from is that we can't use marginalization as an excuse for poor leadership.
Okay.
Because where leadership has been poor, it has to be named in that fashion in itself.
Yeah.
But that should not also excuse the reality that there has also been marginalization. Because you look at the companies that Joachim was mentioning, those are Western companies. And those Western companies did not belong to Western people. They belonged to the country. Just because they were located in Western does not mean that when someone was the MP in that area, he became the leader of the company. Just because we have KEMSA somewhere in Dagoretti North constituency, it doesn't mean that Beatrice Elachi goes every day there in the morning to micromanage what the CEO is doing, because that reasoning is quite pedestrian. Because he reasons as though the leaders were then the CEOs of the companies. The companies, it's true that there has been a lot of issues. I went to school in the days when Pan Paper was working very well in Webuye. And at that time, Webuye was extremely cosmopolitan. I went to school with children who came from all over. We went to school with Gidinji. We went to school with including Indians, because the company was actually doing very well. It was not doing very well because it belonged to the people of Webuye. It was a national entity, and the national infrastructure was put there to ensure that it functions. But it's true that these companies started their collapse around at a certain period towards the mid-term of President Kibaki. And now they dug a big dive now during President Uhuru's administration. And every time, the only thing government did with them is they would say they are injecting some money into it and make big newspaper bold headlines about it. When they're injecting 1 billion shillings, that would make a big newspaper headline. But the reality is that when you cascade that 1 billion shillings, it would come down to about 3,000 shillings getting to a farmer. But now that reality is not being put out there. So the reality is that national government has not put enough emphasis and effort on some of those companies. We know when national government means well. We know that how many times have we had KQ collapse, and national government would actually put in money to ensure that it actually functions. So the truth is that there has been neglect from many governments to those people. We are the only people, Jagero, look at, for instance, the sugar board just came the other day. But we have always had boards for these other crops. Yeah, look at coffee, for instance. Why do we discuss the price of tea and coffee? And every time, today we mention the price of tea and coffee as one of the development progressive things that President RUTO has done under this administration. And I ask myself, why is it that the price of tea and coffee is decided as a government agenda? Why not the price of fish? What about the price of maize? What about the price of sugarcane? How come the only price that is discussed as a national government agenda is tea and coffee? And those are sensible questions. We have a tea board. We have a coffee board. These boards have existed. We have not had all these, the fishing, I think fishing and something came the other day, and it's not even a board. So this is the marginalization that we are actually talking about. So it's true that our areas, especially the Western region, we have faced a lot of marginalization. We have some places, and Caleb Amis is on record to having said this many times, that his entire constituency has no road. Yeah, his entire constituency has no road. And I saw even during the Linda Mwananchi tour, I saw there was a display of a lot of dust. These things just speak to the marginalization that has been there, out there. So whereas we make it a laughable matter, but when we get deep into it, we realize that, wait a minute, why are all these roads like this? Because some areas of this country have roads that have two cars passing per week. And even people are drying their maize on those roads. Yet in some other areas, There's actually, you travel on Maram for 60, 70 kilometers. So this is the reality that marginalization has actually done to these people. And it speaks down even to the hospitals. How many level 5 hospitals are in the entire Nyanza region? How many level 5 hospitals are in the entire Western region? And that's why the life expectancy is not the same across. A child born in Kiambu is more likely to survive than a child born in Siaya. So this is the reality of marginalization. And remember also, Jagero, marginalization means that you start from way back. You start from far. So yes, devolution starts in 2010. All of us start devolution. Counties start receiving money. But the question should be, one county starts building from where, and another one starts from where? Because some counties start with putting tiles in classrooms. Others start with having the classrooms first. Others start with having the land to build the classroom first. So when you judge them on the same pedestal 10 years later, you are judging them wrongly. When you say these ones have this and these ones don't have that, you might be right, depending on how you are looking at it, but when you look at the journey traveled, the journey is different. They are not, the journey is not the same. The person who inherits Nairobi County finds how many level 5 hospitals. So what is the development needed in Nairobi? Vis-a-vis, what is the development needed in Bungoma? Vis-a-vis, what's the development needed in Busia? Some of these counties have no hospital in the first place. So they first of all need to have one. Before we talk about levels, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, before we go to the levels, some of them need the hospital first. So this is the reality of that marginalization. So we can never run away from the fact and the reality that we are a very marginalized people. I argue in a pedestrian manner sometimes that even the cost of education for us is higher. Until the universities started coming and we could have Masinde Muliro University, all universities were in one region. And therefore, before we start with the school fees, a child born in Bungoma has to first of all have 2,000 shillings to arrive in Nairobi. Before they even do anything else. And yet when they come to Kenyatta University, a child who is born somewhere in Kiambu County at a place called KM, which is just behind Kenyatta University, will walk to the university and walk back home. A child born in Bungoma first needs 2,000 shillings to arrive in Nairobi, and then he needs rent to live in Nairobi before that child can even access the education. And in the time of a crisis, like happens with many universities, people have gone on strike, there's stuff like that. When people start running, one child can run home, another one cannot run home. Another one, for him to rescue himself even home, he has to, it's again a whole cost. So this marginalization is real, and when we say it that way, it's not because we want to attract sympathy. It's because we want the country to understand that we don't operate at the same pedestal, so that we start over well, all of us. Can the country carry everybody together? It is not for the sake of seeking sympathy, and it's also not to criminalize the ones who have. Because you can't criminalize people because they have a road. You can't criminalize them because they have a good hospital. But we're just saying, guys, be aware that you have a good hospital and we have none. And don't also hate us for not having a good hospital. We are starting from way back. We are starting from two different points of origin.
Okay, I want to go to Mr. The TikTok lawyer. I want to ask him about. I think I'm on
you want me to say
issue,
nothing about Homa Bay.
On the issue of marginalization. I'm going to pass. I'm going to pass the issue. You don't want to pass the issue of marginalization?
Why would you pass it?
Okay.
You only want to ask me about people hanging in cars, right?
And
stones.
The way he's avoiding asking me about Homa Bay.
But before you go,
I'm coming back to you, Mr. Mundalo, on the issue of Homa Bay.
Jagero, I want to remind you that it was on this very show when we were with Faith Ken, when I talked about the roads in Kadem. I don't know if you remember that conversation.
Yes, I remember that conversation.
And I remember saying they seem to not be part of Kenya. Because it gets to a point.
Was that Kadem that we saw, the Kandahar?
I am caught in between defending my county and
you have nothing to defend.
But that was not Kadem. That very unfortunately was Homa Bay.
You have nothing to defend.
We do have areas within, not just in Homa Bay, but in the larger Luo Nyanza, we've got roads. We've got a road issue, and not just in Nyanza, in very many parts of this country, but particularly in Nyanza. I agree with parts of what Ndalo is saying in terms of the marginalization bit of it. But the issue I have with the political class, and my two brothers beside me are part of the issue, is when you form that government, you will go over and above to make sure you defend it blankly without going back to talk to your constituents. Yes, save face. But go back and tell your parties, hapa tumekosea, we need to rectify it in this and this manner. Because Mundalo, the way he's speaking, you can almost not believe that he was in government the past 10 years. You can almost not believe that his party was the ruling party.
The last 5 years.
The last 10 years. And so, whatever point you joined Jubilee does not negate that your party was there.
But don't you think Mulando's hands were behind his back?
He was the national youth leader of the ruling party.
Yeah.
And so I would love to see, and Mundalo, just show me, we are still here for a long time, show me where, even one place where you advocated for some of the things you are speaking to now as a national youth leader.
Sometimes let me tell you. Sometimes let me.
She was interrupting you.
Don't worry.
Yeah, I think we need. Let me use back.
Let me tell you. You see, I feel.
Yeah, be tolerant.
You see, sometimes.
She has interrupted. I thought she was saying.
I think let the gentleman speak.
You know one thing about me, Jagero, if you learn, I want you to learn. One thing about me, when you give me a chance to speak, I make my point as direct as possible. If I'm interrupting, I do it within less than 30 seconds.
Okay, then let's Wesley, you have got a pad, right? Yeah, you want to write what you want. Yeah, thank you.
The problem with the two, especially Wesley, when he interjects, it takes an hour. That is a problem. Wesley, part of your debating skills, try to land the point as direct as possible.
This is time to make the point.
Because no, I'm just saying it's still my time. It's still my time.
Okay.
But the issue of marginalization, I want to be very objective with it because it's a very touchy subject, especially as someone who's Luo at the same time, and also someone who's at Linda Mwananchi, who's also saying that this issue of marginalization should not be pegged on too much. The problem with this argument of marginalization is that, number one, both sides are really trying to be, very selective in how we talk about it.
Okay.
That the government supporters or apologists are trying to peg so much on marginalization and trying to ignore so much about the concept of devolution, about the concept of handshakes, about the concept of Luo people who have occupied certain positions in government. And again, we also have, our Linda Mwananchi side or even DCP or any other people who are also trying to peg on the issue of there is no marginalization in Nyanza while trying to ignore that, before devolution, much of the roads, much of many development projects highly rested on the national government and not even county governments. They're also trying to ignore the fact that, this is a region quite fundamentally have not actually occupied top positions as most people did. And we have seen that most of these people who are in top positions have actually influenced the policy when it comes to things such as road, especially in years like 1980, 1986, 1999. But when it comes to marginalization, I don't want to speak so much about the past or what happened, especially before 2010. And if you guys are going to talk so much about marginalization, especially as a Luo person, you have to talk about how people or key figures in our own leadership or local leadership have actually stifled the development for people in Nyanza. And one of the leaders who has done this, whom we hold so much respect for, Raila Amolo Odinga, Raila Amolo Odinga has also been part of the reason why we have been having underdevelopment in Luo Nyanza. Quite true. Because for a whole season of his young political career, Raila also used to preach so much about marginalization before 2010. That is the reason why I need to be president. And that's the reason why we call him the father of devolution, because he was part of the people who championed for devolution itself. But what happened after Raila championed for devolution? He is the same person who made it very difficult for the Luo Nyanza people to even criticize the leaders whom he selected and actually proposed for them to elect. So what Raila did to the Luo people is that Raila betrayed the trust that the Luo people pegged on him. Because the Luo people said, we trust you so much as someone who's going to be leading our tribe, that we rest all the trust on you, that if today you were to come in Siaya and say, this is your governor, Orengo, and you come to Homa Bay and say, this is your governor, we will follow and obey you. But what happened when we tried to criticize these leaders, despite the fact that Raila could see just how corrupt these leaders are with people like Governor Rasanga, he could actually prevent people from criticizing these leaders. Even the leaders who were allied to him, like the MCS, could not even impeach these governors because Raila had the final say for this region. So those are the things that we have to have that conversation, especially right now as Luo people. And even apart from the issue of Raila introducing devolution, talk of another issue of Raila making 3 consecutive handshakes with these particular governments. What is that fundamental development project that Raila has bargained for when it comes to this handshake? Have we seen one, or it was just for political mileage preparing for the next election? But again, you look at some of these successive governments. There are also people who are from the Luo land who have occupied big positions. There is no government that we have not seen a leader from Luo Nyanza, a PS or a CS. What is the influence that they have used as part of Luo leaders to try and champion for the development for this region in Nyanza? We have to question some and most of these things. So those are the critical things that I try to analyze, and I look forward to having that difficult conversation, especially as a Luo person, without actually having a very emotive discussion on the issue of marginalization. Because at the same time, I agree, as someone who, the first time I appeared on Jagero's podcast, I talked so much about the poverty of Siaya County. I was also baffled that for the first time when I was coming from Samburu County, I could not believe that this is Luo Nyanza. It was very pathetic, it was very bad. So let's have that critical discussion on how we have also failed as Luo people.
Yeah.
That is the most important discussion, especially right now, past devolution.
Going to the issue of Home Bay, Linda Mwananchi is your party.
Movement.
Is it a party?
Whatever they call it.
And why are you getting so instigated about it when he calls it a party? Because they'll definitely have a party.
Let's not mislead people. It's not yet a party.
It's not misleading. They'll definitely have a party.
So when it becomes a party, then it will be the party. But
the party will be there, but it's not. It's so unnecessary for you to just say it's not.
But also they have got and also they have got a lot to choose from. We had a party launched yesterday, and that so they are not.
It might be a movement that has parties within it,
which is fine. But as Linda Mwananchi, it's not a party. Is that a fact or it's not?
It's so unnecessary for you to raise that.
But it's not.
What is the word that you used against her? What is the first word you used against her? Infuriated or what? Is that the word you used?
The first word you used against me.
Against you,
infuriated. Or
yeah,
what?
Yeah.
What did I use?
And you also
got that's what it's become.
Yeah, it's really what is the problem? I mean, how long does it take to have a party? Why are you instead?
Even Caleb Amisi formed one for them.
But that was supposed to be their party, and then they kicked out Caleb Amisi.
But you know, there is a difference of having a party like PM and have a party that is actually called Linda Mwananchi Party.
Yeah.
Especially with what Linda Mwananchi has already done.
Okay.
And that is why the government is also afraid. So those are two different things.
Okay. So you are insisting on having a Linda Mwananchi?
Yes, we are insisting on having that.
But you already told that Linda Mwananchi, the KDF already refused to raise their concerns about that because there was a Linda Mwananchi in Wagala area.
So number one, the Registrar of Political Parties has not rejected our application to register a party called Linda Mwananchi.
Okay, what have they done?
They just told us that they will give us time for review.
Okay.
Based on other propositions from other applications.
Don't you think that there is undue pressure? I mean, once you've been told no, I mean, who are you? Just go and come up with another name.
No.
Yeah, that's what.
And we still also say that it is unrightful if that happens, if they make that decision that you are not going to be registering Linda Mwananchi Party.
Yeah.
No. Because we know we made the application.
But what is the system telling? What is the system saying? Because I think this is a system, right? The system rejects. Correct?
It has not rejected.
But the system either rejects or accepts. Wait, lawyer, please.
Let me tell you.
No. The problem, don't misread headlines. What did the Registrar of Political Parties tell Linda Mwananchi? Did they reject or they tell them
and I want to ask this gentleman.
No, answer me that question.
Which one? What is the question?
What did the Registrar of Political Parties tell Linda Mwananchi?
And that is the issue I am having. When you go to register a party, there is a way it works. Do you go to the office to check for yourself? Ama you are told by the system that this has been rejected?
Yeah.
No,
there is a way it happens.
Registering a party starts the same process as registering something like a company or a trademark or a copyright. The first most important thing, the first most important thing when it comes to a search is that you'll come up with your slogans and everything. Aside from the legal requirements of signatures and all, there is a search name that will be there. So you cannot come up with a party that has a very identical slogan
for sure,
or brand name with another party. That is the most important thing. So that is the tussle or the problem that we are having right now with the registration.
Yeah, and that is the tussle that I'm speaking to, because you are probably the first people to hold a press conference outside ORPP claiming a name. I've never seen any press conference.
So how is that relevant? How is that objective? You know what you're doing? You're just making fun of Linda Mwananchi. And I'm used to that.
Let me tell you, Jagero.
I don't know what is going on.
So what is wrong with people holding a press conference outside the ORPP? What is the problem?
Why don't we have
the problem with Jagero? Sometimes you're too comical about issues. It's not you.
I feel for Adrian. Unfortunately, with Linda Mwananchi, while you're right, there has been frustration, and that is clear and obvious. But it looks to me like a failure to plan from Linda Mwananchi, because this country, the patterns are the same. I always say that government is hardly creative, not because it lacks people who can be creative. It's because our patterns are very repetitive, so they always repeat the same tactics. This is not strange. When my party leader was doing consultations for a party, I can assure you there were those frustrations. Secondly, whenever people came to him suggesting that there is a party I know, there is somebody I know, we can just acquire that party, he would get a lot of advice on reservations for that situation, because there are people who are planted within movements, and I've continuously said this. DCP is only 1 year old. Linda Mwananchi is even younger. Whatever happens in DCP in a month will happen to Linda Mwananchi in the next month, because now there will be people planted in your movement who will tell you that we have a party. Come and acquire this party. We have even seen some members of Linda Mwananchi. Yes, they will tell you, come and acquire this party. But if you're not careful, you will buy a party that has come straight from State House, because you don't know. We had the same problem in DCP, that people came, told Rigathi Gachagua that you should buy this party or you should acquire this party. And when he did his own due diligence, found that those people were working for William Ruto. There will also be people within the movement who will attempt to register parties so that you can come and adopt that party.
And buy it.
And not even buy it. They have their own certificate, itakuwa kwa nyumba yake, but you will be the party leader in name. That is why you've had in this country of ours people running away with certificates, and people are left wondering, what do we do now? Because
leave Kalonzo alone.
Linda Mwananchi, I've always raised this question with Linda Mwananchi. They keep talking about how we need to be united, but in Linda Mwananchi there was a party like PM, and I agree with him. It has a different significance when you adopt the name of your own movement into a party. Then people do a very and I think Mundalo has raised this point before, and I raise it a different way. I say the Kenyan voter is very lazy. They like to do a very simple job at the ballot. Ndio maana unaona kuuza suti is very easy. So if you have a Linda Mwananchi party, it's very easy to translate the movement into a party. Even registration will not be a problem. Registration of members, because you have to register members in at least 1,000 members in 24 counties at least. It will be very easy. Hii ni chama Linda Mwananchi anaingia. So now what you're seeing is frustration from somewhere, the big boys, where they know that if we make this journey too easy for them, then they will have more time to acquire popularity. However, if we use these same tricks of rejecting their names, people offering them parties, we will squeeze them into a corner where we can now predict their moves.
Okay.
And that is why you're seeing this hullabaloo around the party. And I know you are saying that the first people holding a press conference at ORPP. However, their problem is quite something. we have 83 political parties now.
Can I finally weigh in now that we've made the conversation too long?
Did I say something wrong?
I just wanted to say, you know, what Wesley is saying is very different from actually what Linda Mwananchi is doing.
Okay.
I was laughing when Wesley was saying that DCP is 1 year and Linda Mwananchi is even younger. Because on a light note, I wanted to tell him that DCP is 1 year, but Linda Mwananchi does not exist.
So that you are saying I'm the one who's making
but now on a more serious note. On a more serious note.
It's the same Linda Mwananchi that they're sending goods with.
First of all, I don't come from a place of people who really think Linda Mwananchi is being frustrated. Whereas I agree that governments frustrate processes of political process, because when the government has the instruments of power, they always want to preserve the power. But in this particular case, I want to believe that the issue of frustration is a political gimmick. It is the same thing my friend Morara was doing with his inject. That when he started saying it's government frustrating him, when it's actually normal process of registering of a political party. How do you register a political party in Kenya, Jagero? The first thing you do is that you reserve the name. And when you reserve the name, you give 3 names. And the ORPP will write to you and say, we accept this one, or we reject all.
Okay.
It is very normal. When they write to you that, it does not mean they have frustrated your process. It is basic things that actually happen. Another fact is that between now, it actually takes you at least 9 months to register a political party. So the reality as it stands now, Jagero, is that there is no party that is going to be called Linda Mwananchi in the next election. And that is the fact that people must be told.
Really?
The only thing that could be possible is that it would be an amalgamation of political parties, so that you register what is called what is Azimio?
A coalition.
A coalition political party.
Yes.
That is the only one. Otherwise, in terms of a mainstream political party, it is impossible.
Time bad.
It is already time bad, because it will take you at least 9 months to register a political party. These are the things that they are doing is gimmicks. Unfortunately, gimmicks are good for politics. Because
let me ask a fundamental question.
You will be believed.
When does that time start? Like that 9 months? Make it understandable.
Okay, the 9 months, of course, obviously, they begin when you start the process. They can't begin when you call yourself in a rally.
The process was already started months ago.
The process. So the fact is, as it stands now to the next election, it is already almost impossible to actually register that political party. And that's why people who really, and this is not to say that I am not in support of Linda Mwananchi, this is just the reality of the law. People who understand that, because to deal with politics, you must understand the law and the political science. And that's why Rigiji beats them flat, because he ensures that he does not get a name popular before he registers it. So he starts by, first he avoids the route of registering a political party, because DCP did not get registered. DCP gets acquired. Then its name is changed. Then after its name is changed into DCP, now they start moving forward.
Okay.
And what is among the first things that is done by critics is to say the name is bad, it does not sound nice, the colors are bad. But you see, you deal with those teething challenges as you move, and it's also, the name is not being compared with any other. And so now people have even forgotten that the name was, first of all, not palatable, that the colors were not even palatable, because now they have been embedded into them and they have now moved. But the other side is Linda Mwananchi is trying to ensure that they actually register. And the first hurdle they are being told is that somebody has already reserved the name. And when somebody has already reserved the name, there is only 2 ways you can go about it. You either talk to that person to give it to you.
Okay.
Yeah? And I don't even know whether there is actually another one. I think it's the only one. You can only talk to that person. And when someone has already registered the name, that does not mean the government is frustrating you. It just means the name is with another person. It's like when you want to go and register a party today called Jubilee. You'll be told there's a party called Jubilee. You don't call a press conference and say government is frustrating you because they have refused your name. So Linda Mwananchi just have to, in my view, put their political planning in order. There is one thing to do political euphoria, but now the political planning, in terms of just get the things right, and put it, it's not more about whipping emotions every now and then so that you attract sympathy from the public every time. Because the problem with the Kenyan public today is that it gets tired too quickly. And after a short time, now they'll start telling you, but wait, you guys have been here, but already Ndindi has a party. So the story starts not being very coherent. Of course, someone will come and with their narrative of saying, oh, the party came from wherever, it is a state. But again, the normal voter is not necessarily a very deep thinker who wants to understand political science. He's operating with the mindset of, you are telling us the party is delayed, but this one is also a party. And they don't even have the deep thinking to understand that Ndindi's political party is not a registered political party. It is a party that has been there. In fact, I don't even think they have changed the name. I think it's even the same name. But it has been given gusto and energy, and now it looks new. But people who understand that are those of us who come on political headache. According to the common Kenyan, Ndindi has a new party.
Before Mundalo took over, I was about to make something similar of a likeness. And I wanted to say, I called it a failure to plan. Because, as Mundalo has rightly put it, when you want to register a political party, especially when you are in competition with government, the first and obvious thing is not for you to announce that this is the trajectory we're going to take. You're supposed to look for some random person somewhere, dress him up in a good shirt and a tie, and facilitate them to go register a political party for you. So that when these background checks are done, they don't know who is this person working for. In fact, many people use proxies from abroad. People tell you, I'm going to come and run for governor somewhere in Kenya. I'll tell you, I want to run for Nairobi and I don't want to in any of the mainstream parties. I don't want nominations, so they go and register a party. That is the first thing you do. The moment Linda Mwananchi started to take off, and that's why I'm talking about political planning, it should have been an imperative for the leaders of Linda Mwananchi to notice that is a vacuum that is coming up. And when Mundalo says that the government won't frustrate you, I don't mean by the system. You see, the system is operated by laws, regulations, and stuff like that. It is clear. You can look at the laws and you can see what the outcome will be. They frustrate you in extra legal ways. For example, they facilitate someone to go and reserve the name Linda Mwananchi. Okay. So you're frustrated. And the more you're doing this back and forth with the system, which again has regulations and systems, they know you are running out of time. And that's why I've said, the moment the government understands that, they push you into a corner. And that corner for them is predictable. Because now they will start to put feelers out there to understand who are you talking to acquire their political parties. Okay. And then they go to that person and they tell them, usijaribu kuuza hii chama. Usijaribu kupatiana.
So I think someone in the comment section here has a very good opinion.
What are they saying?
They're saying, why can't it then be Azimio La Linda Mwananchi?
Because it already exists.
You are inferring.
I wasn't in Azimio, he was in Azimio.
Yeah.
It's a comment.
It's a comment but allow me to finish.
Yeah, don't leave him alone.
When for example, the matter of DCP, it was very covert on the issue of DCP. Like, people knew the conversations were the usual mainstream suggestions. You know, you need to go and register a party. It needs to be very new so that it gets picked up by people. They affiliate with it. And then other people will come with the usual, as I've said. Somebody will come and tell you, I know a party we can easily acquire. So, Rigiji averted all that by having people who are not in the front of the camera go register, finish the process, and then now he comes in and it's the gusto that Mundalo is talking about. And with Linda Mwananchi, unfortunately, it's because there is a conflict of egos within Linda Mwananchi. Somebody like Caleb Amisi may have spotted that gap, may have seen that this is a problem we will confront further down the line. So what did he do? He sent people in masks to launch PM. And unfortunately, Mundalo and I, who are in the political space, we could see even from the mask who that person is. I could tell who that person is. But because they're in mask and the average Kenyan does not know who that person is, it comes later to be very easy for Caleb Amisi to come and take over. And if you are a political player, you've seen him talk about Renaissance. So you see Renaissance in the name, you're like, okay, I see where this is going. It's pretty obvious. But unfortunately, about that situation, as much as Caleb Amisi played it, he did not involved his other principals in Linda Mwananchi. He did it as a what you call an ace up your sleeve, that you hide in your back and you wait for everybody to call their game and you tell them I have this ace. So the expectation would have been that people in Linda Mwananchi troop to PM. But because of those clash of egos within opposition, within Linda Mwananchi, which will eventually get sorted out or not, they expected that to be the natural flowing place. But because people will still wanapimana nguvu huko, hawa hawataki kuingia. In fact, you will hear people saying, Babu ataregister chama yake, tunangoja chama ya Babu. If you walk around Nairobi, you will hear people telling you that. If you walk around, you will hear mimi ile chama nitafuata ni ile itakuwa na Sifuna kama party leader.
I don't know whether I should go back to Mr. There is something that you are saying, because I want to go to Mundalo and ask him about.
Aside from that, Mundalo is actually lying to the people that right now you cannot actually register a party.
Okay.
And you need to go back and read the Register of Political Parties Act. Read it quite well.
Okay, what does it say? And can you summarize for us?
Yes, in fact, just generally.
Okay.
Number one, the issue of reservation is about 90 days reservation of the name, which was done with Linda Mwananchi way long time ago.
And what happened after that? What happened after that?
I'm talking about legal legislation and what it provides, so that he can stop lying to the audience. Number one. Number two, after the 90-day reservation of the name, there is the 180-day for the full registration and also certification process.
Okay.
So even if
180 days is how many months?
6.
180 days.
180 days. That's 6 months.
And if you read the act,
that's 9.
No, if you read within the act, you are not understanding timelines. They are saying within. When they say the reservation of a name within 90 days, what do they mean by within?
Okay.
They're not telling you that this 90 days has to elapse. Absolutely not.
Yes.
And when they also tell you within 180 days, you have to make the full registration of the party and also certification. They are not telling you that day has to elapse.
But you're still
and
not
that
telling
is why you
us,
have to read that.
Adrian, you're still not telling us that you've made the point.
Hold on. They would have said 2 days. Why say 90 days?
Because I've seen that procedure, and you get a conflict sometimes where the system is telling you that political party slogan that you have is already occupied by somebody else. Your logo is the problem this time. So the reason why there is a space, a window, is for that back and forth. And I appreciate Jagero's question to you. You said that this process did not start yesterday when we were seeing it. It started before. What happened?
Yes.
So now, if the reservation was done long ago, have the 90 days elapsed since?
They have not elapsed.
If they have not elapsed, what was the problem with the initial request to reserve?
And that is the reason why part of after the reservation was already done, why is it that the registrar had to give up feedback and say that we have to review? It's because within that window that we reserve the name, they had to actually tell us if there is any conflict. So that day has not elapsed.
I remember the review was coming after you stormed the office.
No, you're not.
Then they agreed with you that, okay, now that you are all over the place here, we are going to go back and have a second look. Because you are going there because you had a response from them. That is the reason why you walked there.
That is the reason you're going there.
So what is the response that you got from them?
The reason
that it is registered.
It is not that it is registered, that there might be a party that has the same branding name or title such as
There might
Linda.
be a party, or there is a party.
There is a party that might have the title of Linda or Mwananchi.
Exactly.
That we cannot have.
So essentially they rejected the name.
And
I think what Adrian is saying.
Yeah.
I don't think, Jagero, you are getting this thing. I don't know why it's so hard for you to understand.
Adrian is saying,
Adrian
is saying that it is true that the whole process takes 9 months. However, they started early, so they're not counting their 9 months from now.
Yeah.
He's refusing.
But you started early. Adrian literally said we did not start.
We're still coming back to the point that government does not need to frustrate you within the letter of the law. And I keep on saying, Kenya is one of the most legislated countries.
Yeah.
But sisi ni wakora generally. Tunatafuta njia za ukora. That's why I said it should have been very fast.
Hold on.
Yes, it should have been very fast.
He has not gotten it. Guess when it comes to
getting it.
No, he's getting it. What I'm saying is this.
Let me finish.
It is a false statement. You know why I have to respond to this? It's because I'm a lawyer.
Okay.
And I know the legal process of even registering company. Mostly the same.
Okay.
When it comes to timeline, even if somebody was to start to register a party today, and there is no trickery that you're talking about with the government,
move very fast.
You can register a party even before the campaign period starts.
And that's why I prefixed my argument by saying when you are a person or a movement that is facing the government, these are things you should plan for. You understand that the trickery in this country of ours exists. So as a movement, there should have been a space to spot, and that's why I'm saying, and I don't want to belabor the point I've already said. Some principals in Linda Mwananchi saw the gap, went and did their own thing, and expected that everybody in Linda Mwananchi will come
and the question I'm asking you and Adrian is getting pretty worked up. Is that they made an application, and then there was a response. The response was that your party, we don't have that, we can't reserve that name because it's already in our system. Then they walked to the ORPP office and created a fuss, correct? For lack of a better word.
But
and
we saw a party get launched called Linda what? Linda Mwananchi Kenya or Linda. That is the problem. You see, Adrian put it correctly that if your slogan or your name sounds too close to something else, they have the right to, chalk it off and tell you need to revamp your name. So the fact that there is a party registered around Linda Mwananchi, that is the beginning of their problems.
Yes.
And we have been saying this in DCP. William Ruto atakuja na wheelbarrow mingi sana. We know. Because let me tell you, because these are not new things. These are not new things that we see. People, let me tell you.
So he Linda the wheelbarrow.
82 pound. No, I'm not talking about.
No, this one. Not this one.
Hiyo Linda wa Kenya, hiyo likely ni wheelbarrow. Na ni wheelbarrow ya kufrustrate hawa.
Watu.
Kwa sababu hata sisi watu wa DCP tunajua wheelbarrow ziko kwetu.
Yes.
So the fact that we know, we are ready for them.
Yeah.
We control the narrative so that the government does not come and box us in.
Okay, so then the question I want to ask you is they walked to the ORP office, right? And they were and then because of the pressure from so many Babu speaking big English they were told, okay, we will go back and review. And what has become of the review, Mr. Adrian?
What has become?
What has become of the review that was happening?
The review is still being in consideration. Yes, that is what.
3 weeks now, right?
Because also, I know there might be rules concerning branding.
Yeah.
But it is under the discretion of the ORPP.
Yeah.
That is why even registering, you would have different parties that have very close name.
Okay.
Like ODM Kenya, something like that. It is still possible for you to register Linda Mwananchi, maybe with another maybe hash or something like that. So it is still possible.
Yeah.
That is why the Registrar of Political Party is still giving us a chance to review.
Okay, that's
on the issue of
fair enough. I want to ask you the issue of Homa Bay because you wanted to talk about it.
Homa Bay was a very traumatic experience, just like I was telling you. And that is the reason why you see some of our young people who had that experience for the first time. They've been very silent, especially after what happened in Homa Bay. And I feel very sad for them, especially people like Abby Zwena, whom we work very closely with. And when you made most of the phone calls and asked them about how the experience was, it is far much worse than you would think. That you would see over 100 people dragging you away from a car, and they would slap you with a panga. Not just brandish, slap you with that panga. It becomes very horrifying and terrific. That if any man who tries to utter any word against them, they would beat that person and injure that person. It was very horrific. So we had young people from Linda Mwananchi who have never been in rallies, just like me. People like Abby Zwena have never had that encounter. Maybe she did have a little bit in 2022, but it was a very, very unique new experience. Or these young people that most of you might not know, but I know. So they got to experience that for the first time. And the number of goons that were sent in Homa Bay is more than the number of goons in certain constituencies in Kenya. There was a mobilization of even I would love to believe even more than 10,000 people that were from 40 kilometers even before Homa Bay County. There were almost 3,000 people, all patched up all along the road. There is no single time you could go even 2 kilometers without someone throwing stones to you. So there was a very huge mobilization of crude young people who were very ready to kill. And I would tend to think that the only reason why these people did not kill the people of Linda Mwananchi was because they got clear instructions not to kill people. And the reason for that is because it was the mounting pressure that we put on Gladys Wanga 1 week before the Linda Mwananchi rally. Because we exposed her, there were certain videos that were leaking of Gladys Wanga and a few other MPs secretly meeting groups of people. That is what led to the public pressure of holding her accountable for what happened. So when she realized that people have already noticed what she's planning, she decided to instruct most of those goons that our only work is to injure. And we could hear them say it in Luo. One of them told me that, in Luo, I don't want to say it, but they just say, don't kill them.
In fact, I think you should say it.
No,
exactly how they said it.
I don't want to say it.
It paints the picture for Kenyans to understand exactly the monster of goonism that exists. I think it is important that the people of the internet hear what exactly was being said. I mean, it helps them understand the context of a person in that first person viewership.
Including even that video. One of them was saying, Negi wacho ni kikwa negi. Let us not, we were told not to kill them. Okay. But if you look at Homa Bay politics, people always die in even simple rallies that belong to MCS. The person who has been trending for quite a long time, Ongondo Were, what used to happen? This was an individual who killed over 30 people
at a burial
in just simple burials because of a simple political issue in just a constituency.
In 1 day?
Not in 1 day, but in just over time. Oh, okay. I'm just talking about allegations and all. I cannot even verify them. So these were people who were not afraid of killing people. They were ready to do that. But because of what the public pressure that mounted on them, they were instructed not to kill anyone. And that's the reason why we only saw a police officer dying, because he was caught in the crossfire between us defending ourselves and the goons trying to attack us. You see, that is the experience that people in our young people have had in Homa Bay.
Yeah.
And you know, it is very sad, Jagero. Whether you are 1 term or 2 term as a Luo person, whatever happened in Homa Bay is very disgraceful to the Luo people ourselves. And we just have to agree. And you know, when I ask someone, even who's in 2 term or a government apologist, what do you think about what happened to Homa Bay? Then the first thing they tell me is that, hey, you know, marginalization, Babu Wino planned goons, but you don't want to talk about the real genuine feeling about your own people who are Nyanza Luo people. You come from that region. And you could see the reaction of most Kenyans on social media. You could just see it. There were people who were saying, yes, I am 2 term, but what Gladys Wanga did to the people of Homa Bay is a shameful act that has to be condemned. So what happened in Homa Bay was a disgrace that we live with it for the next period of the campaign period. That is something that people will have to talk about. Number 1, that Luo people just focus on goons. Number 2, even if they're saying that it has unraveled things, we are a region that is focusing so much on political theatrics, but we don't even hold our own leaders accountable to the development that they're giving us. So you see, that is the perception that people already have with us because of one woman, whom we know very well that the reason why she's doing that is because of the insecurity that she might not be re-elected in 2027. That it was become very difficult for her to actually be re-elected in 2027. There are very formidable candidates who have already proposed and they know that they want to be governor. And that is a bigger security there.
Yeah.
So we are seeing a demon of a woman who's very different from the time we elected her and celebrated her as the first governor in Nyanza County.
Yeah.
Very shameful.
Yeah, Mundalo is cringing.
No, he has to cringe because that was my personal opinion on what happened in Luo Nyanza. That is not a political issue of whether I am in Linda Mwananchi or I am there.
I want to ask you a question.
And you know one thing, Jagero, I wish you could have talked to someone that I know and she could have told you what really happened there.
We had 1.5 hours of phone calls yesterday people calling from Homa Bay, actually. 1.5 hours. From 9 to 10:30, people were calling from Homa Bay, telling us exactly. If you go to our live stream last evening, you'll find that. But I wanted to ask you something about, yesterday there was a very big confrontation amongst some panelists and the callers that were calling, and they were asking, one of the callers was asking, actually, I don't know what asking who, one of the panelists, I don't remember who, that what was your plan? And this is what you were saying, that you guys were making press conferences throughout the week about the impending danger to the people of Linda Mwananchi. And you had said that the police you knew were going to lay down the security apparatus were not going to be on your side. So he was asking, okay, what was your plan? Were you planning to go and fight with the goons?
Number one, Jagero, listen to this. Let us start with the fact that, number one, everybody just has the freedom to go anywhere, despite what is there. Despite any impending danger or any intelligence, nobody has the right to block us from going to Homa Bay. The reason why we were doing most of these press conferences, and some people will say that, that this is just, theatrics that we keep on doing with, like the ones for Office of the Registrar of Political Parties, those media presses. The reason why we do these media presses is actually to bring it to the attention of the public, so that even the people who are planning these acts of goonism are actually ashamed and afraid that it is actually public discourse and known that they caused that. That's the reason why we did that. And we did that because we already knew, because even the Luos who are being called by Gladys Wanga being paid 4,000 each per day to organize and get crude weapons were the ones who were calling back and telling you people that, hey, Honorable Babu Wino, please kindly tell your team it is so bad here. It is very, very bad. The instruction we have is very bad. So what happened? We sprang up and we decided that we have to do media addresses so that we can expose these people. We even told some people to record when those meetings were happening. And that is why we got those footages of even Gladys Wanga with so many young people, including Peter Kaluma himself. So the problem with how most people are framing it is that we knew there was impending danger. So what we wanted to do is just go and fight. No. We knew there was impending danger. We exposed it, and we still had the courage to go there because we know that nobody can restrict someone from holding something simple as a political rally in a county. That is what we were going to do there. The only reason why you saw people from Linda Mwananchi with also crude weapons, or even machetes, as some people would love to allege, like the video they have exposed with Orengo.
I'm sorry to ask.
It's only because we are also trying to defend ourselves.
I am sorry to ask this question, and I think I want to also ask Bolo about this thing. I called somebody from Linda Mwananchi, and they told me that they had to abandon so many plans and come up with new ones. So, for example, he was telling me that the original route was supposed to be Kisumu, Ahero, Katito, Papunditi, Kindubei, and then Rongo to Homa Bay. Okay? But then Orengo, the only person, as I was told, I don't know whether this is true, that only Sifuna took that route. But then it's also interesting because he tells me that Babu actually did not go through that route at all. Babu went on a speedboat from the other side of Siaya across to Nyandiwa. Orengo was on the other side of Rongo. All right? So it looks like there was a serious siege mentality that we had to go to Homa Bay, whatever the case. So we see Babu crossing the waters by boat, because Sifuna actually had a picture of himself next to a boat. And then when I asked him, okay, so where did you meet Sifuna? And he tells me that I met Sifuna in Kindu Bay. And that is how we actually gave Homa Bay a wide berth on their way to Suna. Was it Suna or Kuri? Suna East or Suna West? All right? So, and then I think that the person that bore the brand of the goons was actually Orengo, because he was the one that went right into them. And he had a lot of problems actually reaching his destination. That's what I was being told. And so if you look at the whole thing, and then they go all the way to Karoli Omondi's backyard. Because the idea was that by the time they are reaching Karoli Omondi's backyard, they were 4 hours behind schedule. Because they reached there around 2, where they were supposed to be around 10. All right? Then they make the journey backwards towards Homa Bay. You see, and that is how it was easy for them to reach Homa Bay, because they could not access it to the other side, because the goons had figured out they were going to come through this route. And it was impossible for them to reach Homa Bay. So then they scattered and found themselves all in Sona, then started retreating towards Homa Bay. And that is why they were supposed to be in Homa Bay at 4. They arrived there at 7:20 p.m. in the night. You understand? Because even if you look at the live transmission of K24, I don't know, it was attacked at around 7:15. That is why they lose their transmission. And that is why we get the news the following day that was actually torched. So if you look at all these things, what you get was that they had to be in Homa Bay. Come rain, come shine. And that is why a lot of people were saying, okay, what was the wisdom?
Allow me before Bolo comes in, because I think it's important I tell you from a political perspective. Cowardice does not favor you in politics. Where people tell you not to go, and it is prefixed from what Adrian has said, that every Kenyan is free to go anywhere in this country. You are allowed to go and sell your agenda politically anywhere in this country. And what Adrian is describing and what you are talking about are consistent repetitions of there are things in military warfare called choke points. When you realize that this is the main route that your enemy is going to use, you create a choke point there, so that it is easier to deal with them in a very controlled space. Now that scattering is exactly what you do to avoid a choke point. You move by boat, you move somewhere else, you take the longer route, it delays you, but you avoid the obvious kill zone that people have set up for you. It happened to DCP in Narok. When Rigathi Gachagua was going to Narok to campaign for the Narok town MCA, they had blocked all the major roads to get in, and Rigiji had to use feeder roads to get into Narok. It also happened in Wetima as Rigiji was escaping the church. He did not escape through the main entrance, he did not escape with his car, he escaped using motorbikes, right? And he escaped through the back side of that church. It is also what you're seeing, and you're seeing the DCP party decry a lot. There will be a rally on Friday in Emuru Adikir, sort of like a Thanksgiving, and you can hear the party leader, the members of the party, the elected officials talk about what is being planned. Because this information is shared to you prior. The way you're saying, police have been instructed to lay down arms. We know who is planning what, but who do you report to on this case? Because if the police in Homa Bay County have been told that you should not intervene, this is an operation for politicians. Hii ni mambo ya wanasemanga hiyo ni mambo ya wakubwa. And then they instruct them to leave. And police mambo ya wakubwa wataki kuingilia. They stop. And then you find that the same things happen. And then later some critics or government apologists will come and tell you, but report this in the police station. To who? To who do you report when the goons planning are the same ones who are supposed to protect you from the violence?
Bolo, you wanted to say something?
Yes. I think...
Kwanza, what are you guys looking at on the phone? Is it a comment?
It is, but I'll allow Mundalo to touch on that. You've painted how people came in, but I don't know if you were watching the live, you realize that Orengo made an address at some point in Kindube.
Yeah, that is at around 8 p.m.
But even in the morning, there's a place, actually at the Kindu town stage, at the Kindu Bay town stage, there's a place he makes, you can actually see the Galana petrol station at the back. He makes an address there in the morning. So I am wondering at what point he left Rodi, came back
that is why I am saying that I cannot verify this thing.
Yes,
but also the truth is that they were not with Sifuna.
Yes, the truth is they all came from different places. That I definitely agree. But Orengo, there's no way Orengo would have failed, because Kindube and Oyugi seem to have a liking for Orengo, and that is why he made an address in Oyugi's previously on his own. And then this time round, just before the rally started, he went, and even if you follow it live, you realize in the morning, before they even began at Nyandiwa and the other places, he made an address in Kindu town, which is because Kindu is part of Karachuonyo, and that's one of the largest constituents in Homa Bay town.
Yes.
But I wanted to speak on 3 issues. The first is that there are 2 names that constantly come up every time there is political violence within Homa Bay County. This is Kaluma and this is Wanga. I will not mention the third because he is now resting. But it cannot be a coincidence that every time there's either a video of you inciting people towards violence, or you are associated with violence, or the goons themselves are doing a video saying, we must protect so and so. It cannot be a coincidence. We cannot have particular people always encouraging political intolerance. And that brings me to the second issue. Within Homa Bay town, where a lot of this violence took place, there is a very popular candidate by the name Enosh Bolo.
Enosh.
We are not related. But
yeah. Good. Are you also from Homa Bay?
I am from Homa Bay. I mean, this English can only come from
probably you can't trace it long enough, but far enough.
But Enosh is vying for Member of Parliament in Homa Bay town to unseat Kaluma on a UDA ticket.
Okay.
I want to tell you what has happened to him and his family. They touched his cars that were parked. He was not participating in those rallies.
His cars were parked in Homa Bay town?
Yes,
okay.
They were touched. Because of the instructions that were given, his hotel was also damaged. His brother's hotel was also damaged.
Is it the tourist hotel?
No. It's called Palm Rose or something like that, yes. And a few others of their business premises. Now, my question was, if UDA cannot protect their Nyanza candidates, how against their coalition partners, how exactly is the dynamic of that relationship? Is it that they are pushing towards, and I think anyone who is vying in Nyanza on a UDA ticket needs to consider, because
probably you can also add the fact that they are looking for zoning. So UDA people would be automatic targets.
Of course, they are looking for zoning.
Yeah,
and that is what the team from ODM is pushing towards. But my question, I think that people need to ask themselves, and people from Nyanza now need to ask themselves, is these candidates who want to vie on a UDA ticket, if they cannot be guaranteed now the safety against their coalition partners. In 2022, I was in a party that was in a coalition with ODM. And I will tell you, in my own home, there are people who waited for me. It is my dad who called me and told me, how far are you? Where are you? When you're coming near, tell us to send people to come and collect you, because your name has been brought up. And one of the border guys has told me they're waiting for you just slightly past the Kanyadiang, a particular stages entrance. We were in a coalition with them. So any party that
you were in which coalition?
I was in Kanu in 2022.
Okay.
Yes, I was in Azimio. So if you are in a party that is in a coalition with ODM, there is no guarantee that there is going to be political tolerance. That does not seem to be the language that they speak, especially in this particular county where these two names keep cropping up.
But then before you go to the other point, then so when you talk about that relationship, so who is cheating who?
They are like that.
I would
it's not
say,
a unique thing to their coalition.
Who is they?
Was the same.
Well, their coalition is.
Their coalition was also our coalition was also similar. Like internal competition was very violent.
And that's why I'm asking. There are names that keep, even in your side, Wesley, I'm sure there are names that just keep cropping up. Anytime there's violence, there are particular names that will always crop up. And to see that we have normalized it, and it is okay. I think you saw some of the comments that were there when, gosh, even his name has disappeared. When Were passed on, people were saying, you know, there was almost like a celebration. It was almost a thing of, we knew it was going to happen. It's about time this happened.
And Wanga was captured crying on the sofa.
Yes, and a lot of people kept on saying, you've seen what has happened to your mate, you're next. Now to see her name also crop up during the rally on Sunday, I mean, it tells a very dangerous story. And if I were Wanga, I would really watch my back. But most importantly, if I were Wanga's goons, I would watch my back even more, because we all know what happened to a lot of the goons that were with Ongondo Were. May his soul rest in peace. No. Something that...
He's saying that his soul should not rest in peace.
Something that we also need to agree on.
Be careful, you're not God.
Whether you are 2-term or 1-term, it is that both sides had very distasteful comments that were inciting the violence. One is, and both were to prove a point. On this side, the Homa Bay team and the two suspects that have been named, it was mostly to prove that it is our home turf. You cannot do this. You cannot speak in our home turf. We have protected it. And of course, to please their master. And on this other side, they also need to please their master and prove that, you know, we can do this. You do not have monopoly. And it is my democratic right, truthfully so, to speak anywhere I want. So it is wrong to say that, to make it look like Linda Mwananchi had completely clean hands. Both sides need to bear the brunt of violence that happened. What is
the burden from Linda Mwananchi? Because
I think we had Babu's sentiments, and we had Babu tell them ni wachache tu au vijana hata hawajafika 30. It was live when he was saying that. But also Jagero, what are you doing in a rally past 6 PM?
What does that mean though? This is the question. This is the question I was asking.
Was Babu wrong for saying that statement?
When he tells
it is interesting.
No, why is he saying that? It's because there are individuals right there in front of you wanting to attack you. So you should just sit and do it.
But you're also going towards them.
At this particular point, Adrian,
you are going towards them. Because if you look at that video, you're actually charging towards them.
Yes. You are going for war. And
where are we going?
If you are looking at it,
you are going towards them.
Are we going to their home or are we going to Homa Bay Town, which is Africa?
If you are looking at it like that
because
you are
that
coming,
is a very,
and I'm also coming. In war, then
which kind of question is that? That where are we going?
Absolutely
we are going to Homa Bay Town.
That's the direction Adrian is going.
I think the argument that Bolo is about to present.
It's not all his fairs.
Hold on.
That's what you're
saying. I think the argument that Bolo is about to present
has a right to self-defense.
It's careless.
Because if we start reasoning like that, then the very political intolerance that she is, I don't want to say purporting, but she has presented to be against, then it seems like she is double speaking.
No.
Hold on, let me make my point as to why I think is misguided.
Adrian says,
hold on.
He's saying that they were charging. So I'm telling him what he is saying is that all is fair in war.
No.
Because he's encouraging war.
Bolo, you're
encouraging.
I think I want to bring Mundalo.
Before you bring Mundalo,
can you come close to your mic so that when I call on you, you are making
that point.
You know why?
Please, as he's getting and also talking about my point.
Yeah.
Bolo has just said. Wesley even rephrase it. He has just said that the statements of Babu were bad when he said that hawa watu ni wachache. What is wrong with saying that?
And what is the interpretation of that? What is the interpretation of that? That you can actually vanquish this one.
The interpretation of that,
you can take them out. That's what you're saying.
The interpretation of that. I want to move. He's asking me what is the interpretation of that.
Yes. I want him to.
Wesley is asking me what's the interpretation.
What is the interpretation of
that? Is that there are people we can see who are throwing stones and want to attack us, and they are fewer than us. What does that mean? So that we are able to effectively defend ourselves.
You are not defending yourself because you're moving towards them. What do you mean you're defending yourself?
That is the careless part I am talking about, and allow me to now make this point.
Okay.
Jagero, logically speaking, if you plan a journey to, for example, Meru Town, all right, it is your journey. It is your right to go to Meru Town, right? And then somebody tells you, we will intercept you at Embu.
Yes.
Or at Chuka University.
Okay.
And then you get to Chuka University as you're headed to Meru, to your own journey. You're not going to infringe on anybody else's rights. You're going for your own political advances, right?
All right.
Somebody blocks you at Chuka University. Right?
Okay.
What are you supposed to do when the defenders of the law are not intervening and you are meant to go? Because if you allow, hold on.
Okay, he's talking.
Because if you allow that mentality to creep in, that in the heat of the moment, some statements, as rightfully as you're saying, they could be interpreted to inciting people to move towards attacking those people or defending themselves from those people, right? What would you have a person in that moment do when people have been placed as human barricades with the intention to harm or maim? You on your way to your own political advances, you're not going to hold a rally in the political party offices of Gladys Wanga.
And I think you've made your point. And
the reason why I'm saying it's careless is because we have to first of all acknowledge what is the right in that question. The right is you have the political freedom to move around this country and send your agenda at any point.
Nobody is disputing that.
Nobody is charging. Nobody is charging towards someone. We're just moving.
We are
saying that you are charging towards where?
Right. That is where the right of.
Can I ask you? So let me paint a picture for him. So let me paint a picture for him. So that was Gachagua on top of the car, all right, surrounded by his supporters, all right, and Gachagua is headed towards Chuka. And Gachagua is taking the microphone and telling people that these people are very few. Let's just go and deal with them. That's what Gachagua would do.
And what are those people doing in front there?
Do in that situation, but I am saying
there's something I said that they are both choosing not to listen to. Again, I said I'm not disputing that Wanga and Tim bear the brunt brand. However, you're not with clean hands as Linda Mwananchi. Not just because of the statements, but what were you doing there past 6 p.m.? Legally speaking, if we are talking about the law, as you're both putting it, what time should rallies end?
Disrupted not to get there at
what time should rallies end?
Can I bring Mundalo into this issue?
Show me that law.
I need to bring.
It is very comfortable for her to speak like that.
I think it is
not going to face.
I don't think it is comfortable for her. She has told you. She has told you.
I want to tell you which law it is.
Tell me.
She was.
And so that you can tell me we are in a campaign.
Wait, my brother. You have been in these things. You are going to be a senator.
Provisions of the Public Order Act.
Okay.
Standard public gatherings and processions are restricted to daytime hours, specifically running from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. So again, I ask, what were you doing there after 6 p.m.?
That is not illegal. Interpret that section, please, well.
Okay. Can I bring Mundalo? Mundalo, I want to talk about this thing because a lot of people are asking questions. I've asked this gentleman, what do you do when you realize that the situation is too dangerous for the people that you are with?
Yes.
And as a leader,
yes.
do you jump on top of the car and claim that these are just 30 people?
Yeah.
Let's go and deal with them. What do you do?
I think let me talk about what I've seen other prominent leaders do,
Okay.
so that I am not subjective.
Okay.
I have seen Raila call off demonstrations, not because he could not proceed,
okay,
but because he could see that the danger that is now looming is hurting his people the more. Not necessarily because he's out of law, but because he's within common sense to understand that for him to keep the fight, he needs to also keep his troops in order, because he understands that, okay, fine, at the end of the day, I can keep calling these things every day, and I have an armored car and security around me. But every day when we keep reporting that 5, 10, 15 have died, we will keep going to the press conference and keep saying and admonishing government, but someone will have actually lost a life. So sometimes retreat does not necessarily mean weakness. But one thing about political intolerance that you can never find, Jagero, is that unfortunately, when it comes to such conversations, the last person you should listen to is a politician or someone with a political affiliation. And that's why the two cannot agree with Bolo. Because according to the two, the argument must be that government must be wrong. And if that argument doesn't end like that, it disadvantages their politics. And that's why they must push a narrative that looks a certain kind of way. But when we look at these things practically and realistically, you'll be able to understand that when it comes to people fighting, and first of all, what happened in Homa Bay was extremely unnecessary. Because we must live in a country where people can actually go wherever they want to go, and it must be a contest of ideas at the end of the day. I attended a funeral in Meru, I think about 3 months ago. And one of the things that I liked about that funeral, and I was telling my colleagues there that I don't think that could happen in Western easily, is that the sitting member of parliament stood on a podium and started calling people who are aspiring for his seat. And he started saying, hey, there is this one, you can give your speech, give your contribution. There is the other one. And that is what the country ought to be. Unfortunately, we are not like that in most of the country. But then, we can't sit here every day and just come to say we call it out with the loudest terms possible and all that, and nothing is changing. We must look at what is the reality. And for me, the first person that we must be able to blame is ourselves as Kenyans. Because when goons are coming from both sides of the political divide, because again, Jagero, I'll assure you, both sides of politics always have the goons. So when goons are coming from both sides of these political divides, it means they have mobilized we, the Kenyans, at the end of the day. Those people who are going to fight against each other is us. So when we decide to say that we will not be used in that way, especially the younger people, there will be nobody for the politician to mobilize in that account. And number two, we must be able to put the blame where it's also supposed to be, because we have someone that we are paying as a country to take care of security instruments. And therefore, they have the monopoly of violence. And that is the security apparatus of the country. We cannot be able to listen to roadside declarations of politicians who will come and say, and the policemen do not come where we were. And then after they don't come, then you say they were not there and that's why we were hurt. Politicians will always act in the best way that is convenient for them politically. When something has happened as it happened in Homa Bay, we must be able to look straight in the eyes of the security apparatus of that region, and they must be able to be held to account. They must be the ones to tell us who did what time, and who has been apprehended. It can't be left to politicians, because according to politicians, the one who is wrong is always on the other side. And that's why the ones on Linda Mwananchi will have names that they are busy saying, this one is the one who caused it. But they will not report it to the police, because they want to play the political theater of just public gallery. And the ones on the other side will also call out the other people. So at the end of the day, those people will exercise political expediency. The truth is that both of these people always carry with them some of these things. They mobilize all of them. And the truth is, we cannot be able to leave the question of security to politicians. We must be able to leave it to the correct people, that is the security infrastructure. And number two, we the people ourselves must be able to refuse to be mobilized politically. I always tell people, they must understand this, Jagero, why I tell them it's never that serious. This Wesley is in DCP, and my brother here is in Linda Mwananchi, and we are here and we're having a conversation. After this conversation, me and Wesley will go the same direction, and he'll give me a lift because he has the most expensive car on this panel. That is just to prove to the people that it's never that serious. We'll have this debate and then go home. And we'll argue and put up the best fight for our camp. But when you fight outside there, unfortunately, it becomes you who gets hurt. And that's why you must refuse to mobilize that ground. As passionate as Adrian is in his defense for Linda Mwananchi, if they form government tomorrow, I am more likely to get a job from them, because at least I know Adrian, than you there who only supports him and says, well. So that is the reality of the politique. And our people must be able to understand it that way. And for us to be able, why I'm usually totally against insecurity and political intolerance is because the person who suffers the most when politics becomes expensive is the young people. Because the young people now will not run. The young person who wants to run on another ticket that is not ODM, for instance, in those regions, how do you start your campaigns with a security budget? We must be able to be at a place where people can get out and put up their conversation. I have been part of political intolerance before, and you know that, when we were attacked in Umoja, just this year, I think last month or something.
Yeah, I saw your vehicle was in tatters.
Yes. And these things, it's not about saying that it is some people who are, it's government versus whoever. No. Politicians outside here are basically mobilizing against each other in the most chaotic manner possible. And all of us must just be able to say, one, we the people will not accept to be mobilized on that accord. And two, we must also accept that we the people will not be able to protect our politician when he is called out that he mobilized the people. Because I can assure you, Jagero, arrest anybody tomorrow in accordance to what happened in Homa Bay, and you will see Kenyans coming out to say that that is their person. You will see leaders coming out to say that they protect that person. We had a gentleman who had a lot of hate speech, or I think was it on Citizen TV or in Oro FM, and he was arrested. And all opposition leaders came together and said, no, that was not hate speech. And we have had the same happen many other times. So at the end of the day, politicians will exercise self-preservation. It is in the business of the people to also preserve themselves and not accept to be mobilized on those petty grounds.
You know, as Advice is just saying it, everyone condemns violence, especially when it is perpetrated against them. But everyone allegedly uses it. And that's why you hear the examples Advice is giving, that everyone will make excuses regardless. And if you remember when we opened, I said very clearly that when Gachagua got to DCP, he really complained about violence. But do you remember when he was the deputy president? Do you remember Wesley when he was the deputy president? I'm just using that as an example of how it plays out, and that's why I agree with him. But there are two issues that Mundalo has touched on that I feel I need to highlight. The first is on castigating the young people. We are in a country whose poverty levels right now are very, very high. And a lot of young people right now do not have jobs. They don't have the avenues, the legal avenues they would use to make money right now also do not exist. Or have, right now even if you're earning 5,000, you have to do it using e-teams, right? Regardless of where you are or whatever it is you're doing. So with those bottlenecks there, it's leaving these young people with very little options, and that's why the politicians are misusing them the way they would like. So I wouldn't be very quick to castigate the young people. I would only ask us, because what's the saying? He who holds the piper plays
the tune.
Yes. So those with the money and the room and the powers to change things have decided how they would want things to go. But finally, we had Murkomen come out and say, "Goons, we will come for you." But he never talked about, that was a few, when the issue of goons actually started coming up, Murkomen came out and said, "Goons, we will come for you," during the protests, the Gen Z quote-unquote protests. And of course, this was after he said they should be shot on the leg. But he never talked about the ones above who are facilitating these goons he's coming for. But I think even as he goes after the goons, he needs to go also after those people who are paying them. Otherwise, he's going to create a culture whereby this goon is arrested, but that person who the goon was working on behalf of will have them released. That is a culture we need to be very...
Can I really interject a bit, Jagero? Why I keep saying that the young people must be told not to take part. Bolo, you see, when you say that the person who paid them should be arrested, these lawyers will tell you that it will again become difficult because they have to arrest them according to the law. And now when you start following the legal procedure,
yes,
it will become very difficult to apprehend these people, because you'll be told who was the goon, who threw the stone, who was the one who killed the person. So this story about someone paid you is a good... We will all know that you are actually saying the truth. But unfortunately, the law does not operate on perception. And that's why at the end of the day, the more we try to encourage young people that there is a miracle that can happen after they have been used, we are lying to them. Because today, so many of them are in jails across the country. Some of them are rotting in community prison because of these things. Why? Because they believed that somebody will get them out because that person is powerful. The truth is that the law does not operate on such kind of things. At the end of the day, it will be you who will be taken. It will be you who video footage will prove that you are the one.
There, you are touching the car.
No, even if you hire Wesley, who is from DCP, he will not prove that case in court that someone paid you. At the end of the day, it is you who is going to jail. But so for me, I'm like, why can't we? I find it quite, in my view, unnecessary for us to excuse young people to go and do something bad on the bed, because then we can blame the economy. No. I'm like, okay, fine, we will do, but at the end of the day, when the law catches up with them, it is their parents that start moving up and down, hiring lawyers, visiting them in committee, and the country will have moved on.
Advice. One, you saw NCIC summoned Kaluma. And you saw, of course, the very arrogant response that he unfortunately responded with, saying, I have, duties, call me from the 27th, I am a very busy person.
Make that comparison to the DCP MP who was arrested at Citizen TV. So why couldn't they do the same to Kaluma?
It goes back to just tell you, of course, Adrian, I agree with you 100%, because we've seen a culture where when you are aligned to government, your cases just miraculously disappear, you are protected in a manner. So I agree with you. But why I said that we need to go after those who are inciting this violence and paying these people is, even if it will be difficult, as you're saying, to prove it, I am sure there's some sort of moratorium that can be given. Whether it is, the only issue I have is I think, I'm not very sure if NCIC has the power to prosecute, but these sermons that NCIC is giving should not just end there.
Bolo, can you ask? It
should go to DPP. Then should
whether politicians
there.
pay goons by cash or by whatever.
Of course, I know they pay by cash. They definitely pay by cash.
And
so
they
tracing
don't
it is
even
going to be
pay.
easy. But
they don't even pay.
But tell me this: are we saying
who pays?
My friend,
it's not even them.
Are we
Let's just tell young people the truth.
Let me tell you.
You see that the young man who has braces and was mobilizing in Homa Bay, the young man who has braces and is very built, who is actually credited for mobilizing and is a resident of Homa Bay town, is the same one who was key in 2022. He was arrested in 2022. Do you know who got him out? That same 2022. It was my very own governor who went and got him out. Right? So when we have some of this, when we have,
and she'll say these are people of the community, and there's always something.
Exactly. That's why I was saying
the easier thing is tell young people
go
not to be
after
involved.
that person. Because that person is still going to go and remove them from jail. So that person is one who we should go after.
So how do you go after?
Just
for instance, how do you then go after? Which law? Because you can't say that you have taken someone, and maybe Adrian, your lawyer will assist me. Can you say you have taken someone to court on the basis that
is the issue proving it, or is the issue that they should not account?
Can we move on?
That they must account,
but it is true. It is
they
always
must
very
not
difficult.
make young people believe that there is something above there. There is an escape route. It is them who will be rotting in jail as we continue with these stories of someone will be arrested and someone will do this and that.
So Bolo is talking about emphasizing the bigger person in the bigger person in the room. That's what Bolo is talking about.
Yes.
But also I think that if you have got an ID, you better take care of yourself.
Exactly.
I think so. Let's play Ndindi Nyoro speak during the launch of the People's Party, so that we can go to.
Wesley will tell us about Ndindi Nyoro. I think let's give him the 1 hour for him to talk about Ndindi Nyoro.
What is making you so excited about Ndindi Nyoro?
No, because
he said that he's joining you guys.
No, there's no problem
with that. He said he's joining you, Linda Mwananchi.
No, he said he's joining. In fact, he said he's a consultant regarding Gachagua. But right now, if you open X, everybody from DCP camp is attacking.
No, he did not consult him.
No, but the speech he said he consulted regarding
Gachagua. But he's forgetting that Jalango also consulted RUTO when he was going to State House.
So we are wondering Wesley, please tell us when did regarding Gachagua?
Avoidance of doubt. Just for avoidance of doubt. I know you all know we left government long time ago and associated with the Wheelbarrow Party, the UDA. Hata wenye Wheelbarrow wenyewe wataitoka waiwache. I want to sikizane tafadhali because I want to be very direct. The second thing, mimi kama Ndindi Nyoro na wafuasi wangu kutoka leo nimeingia chama inaitwa People's Party of Kenya. Glad that the membership of the People's Party of Kenya wamenipea nafasi na wakanieleza tukifanya mambo ambayo tunafanya kwenda mbele. Wameniuliza kwa sasa tuongoze hiyo maneno. Of the People's Party of Kenya, we have today joined the opposition. Pia viongozi wale watapeleka Kenya mbele from next year. I also ask humbly the people of Kenya, muangalie pia People's Party. Pia wao wako na viongozi wanaweza shikana mkono na wengine na tukoboe Kenya August of next year. We've taken time to consult almost all the opposition leaders. I have sat down with Peter Munya. I have sat down with Honorable Mother Karua. I have sat down with Honorable James Orengo. You know, my brother Sifuna is my brother. Now with Honorable His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua. Sat down with Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka. Almost a near-long consultation with most of them, including almost for a whole year, Honorable Dr. Fred Matiang'i. I want to say this. In all the people's tours, that is the People's Party tours, all the aspirants of the opposition are invited. Anytime. Wewe kama unatoka chama ambayo ni ya kukopoa Kenya next year, iko katika chama yote ambayo inasema hii serikali imedhulumu wa Kenya ya kutosha, na kwa sababu ya hiyo tamu yao ni moja peke yake. Ukisikia People's Party iko kwenu, unakuja tunakupea nafasi because we are all brothers and sisters.
Yeah, what is the problem with 2-1? I don't know whether to ask this. I don't know whether I should. Okay, let me ask you, Mr. Wesley.
Yes.
What is really going on in the mountain? Can I lay down my problem with the mountain?
Please do.
So we have Roku, who has taken off, and you guys have followed him, and is gotten lost, around the bend. And you are probably saying that, okay, let's leave him alone. The other day, His Excellency the Deputy President, Mr. Kindiki, wrote a very long post. Some people call it a very bitter long post, and he was documenting how bad of a leader Gachagua is. And then we have Jimmy Wanjigi, who went to Wamunyoro twice in the night, but decided, okay, this is not interesting. Let me go back home. And then we have Muturi has been throwing tantrums all over the place. And now enters a stage right, Mr. Ndindi Nyoro. And instead of going and bending the knee to His Excellency, the former Deputy President, Rigathi Gachagua, he has decided to form his party. Over and over again, you guys are saying that the mountain is one, but we can see that the mountain is splitting into several splinters. And I'm wondering, what is going on? Why can't you guys put your house together?
Okay.
Yeah.
First, Jagero, to attempt to say that the mountain is splitting is you not to be a good student of history.
Okay.
In 2022, the mountain was family with William Ruto, or was in family in the Hustler Nation. But at that time, there were leaders within the mountain who were campaigning day and night, trying to undo the influence that then William Ruto had.
Okay.
For example, there was the Kieni member of parliament, Kanini Kega then. There was the Nyeri Town member of parliament, right in the heart of Mount Kenya, all campaigning for Azimio, right? So what you're seeing right now is an exercise in democratic politics where people have different opinions. But to speak to, so that I can get to my point, I want to speak about the issue of Ndindi Nyoro. And I like how politics comes full circle.
Okay.
Because we were on this same show with you when you asked me about Ndindi Nyoro. And I told you that Ndindi Nyoro is politically indecisive. But he's not politically indecisive because he does not know where the bulk of the support of the mountain is. Because as you can see right now, the transfer season is open. People are moving away from William Ruto. He knows that. The reason why I said he was politically indecisive was because he understood that the narrative of the mountain right now has already left and has already started movement with Rigathi Gachagua. And so I consequently said that as a result of that realization, he knows that going against that will be problematic for him. And two, if he goes with it, he will have to acknowledge that the man of the mountain right now is Rigathi Gachagua. And you've heard people say it. One mountain, one party, one leader. Let me explain to you why that is important. And I'll do so through deductive reasoning and a story. I have a story at the end. You see, in politics, when you're politically indecisive, when you eventually decide to make a choice, you face two opponents. You face, of course, your expected political opponents, who are the physical people you can see, and you face off against a perception or opposition, right? So the perception becomes your competitor. And when you face yourself in a perception war, the burden of proof shifts to you to prove that that perception that has been carried by people is either wrong, misguided, or completely false. And that is where Ndindi Nyoro is today. Because we are asking ourselves, he gave us 3 weeks where he will declare a stand. And in those 3 weeks, if you remember correctly, the Olkalau by-election had not happened. Government people were beating their chests saying that they are going to win Olkalau. Had we lost in Olkalau, you would have seen this story a bit earlier. You would have seen the formation of a party as an alternative to DCP a bit earlier. The question after winning Olkalau was, how then do I introduce another party to the mountain? Because like I told you, on our side, we have the benefit of understanding that government patterns are very predictable. They will send people with parties in Mount Kenya to try and create different waves at different times in order to fracture that vote. And you also need to understand, Jagero, I've always said that whenever there is a narrative or there is propaganda, you not only check the content of a narrative or propaganda to know who owns it. Sometimes you look at who stands to benefit the most. Because the reason why you and Adrian are saying that people from DCP are up in arms is because Ndindi Nyoro has formed or has announced his position yesterday. But the people who are pushing his narrative most are non-government bloggers.
Okay, well, how do you mean? They're the ones that were breaking the news?
No,
what do you mean?
I'm saying, you see, in every narrative and every discussion, there has to be proponents and antagonists, right? So at that point where Ndindi Nyoro now the conversation is happening, okay, so he has formed a party. If you look at people from DCP before he announced, right? People were saying, we know he's going to come out with a party, we know he's going to be a presidential candidate. We already knew this. Okay. In fact, this one had already been a post on Facebook on 18th of June. Down to the name of the party.
By him?
Not by him.
By someone else?
Sources.
Okay.
So the fact that he is coming to tell us now is not anything new. But now you start to ask yourself, and now I will get to what you've asked. You start to ask yourself, now Ndindi Nyoro has formed a party. Why is it then that the people who are congratulating him most, the people who are offering support, the people who are driving or carrying the agenda of that discussion are people who are known to be in government? And you can see that presents two problems. One, it is a perception war for Ndindi Nyoro. He has to disprove everything that we are seeing. And two, government might also be doing that as a way to make sure that that is the narrative that he is retained, so that he again goes into a corner that government can control. Because if now you're coming out and you've already been told that we know you're a wheelbarrow, what do? You end up now being a safe haven for the PSS and the CSS who know very well they will not be elected on UDA. But they cannot come to DCP or will not be welcome to DCP. So they need another party that is friendlier and allegedly anti-RUTO so that they can run on. Let me tell you why this is important.
Can I interject?
Please do.
As you move on. There is something very interesting that you're coming up with, that you're saying that the people in government right now, they're not going to be welcome in DCP.
No, I'm
the
saying
CSS and everybody else.
No, I'm saying, and I want you to understand, I pick my words correctly, so because I know words are powerful and they can be used to kukufunga. I have said that these CSS know that they cannot come to DCP, not because they won't be accepted, it's because they will not find political success there.
Yeah.
The proof is in the pudding. The MP for Gatondo South right now is another victim of political or perceptional opposition.
Okay.
Right? He has been with William Ruto. Just go through his posts on TikTok and you will see as early or as late as this just the last month, the last week of the last month, he was in the office with Ruku. He was attending meetings with UDA branded merchandise. I don't want to say that you cannot turn your mind in a day, but you cannot tell me you are fully converted within a matter of 2 weeks. To me, that is a red flag. And the people of Gatondo South proved it. When he was in church, they later went to a rally and they booed him off stage. And they cheered his competitor because they are telling him, you might have changed your colors, but we know you still support William Ruto. You are here to save your own political face. And that is why I said, when you are late to make a decision, your opponents become physical and perceptual. And let me finish. In Mount Kenya West, we have said there will be wheelbarrows.
Yes.
That Mount Kenya West you're talking about, that wheelbarrow is that one you're seeing. The other one in Mount Kenya East is the narrative that you're seeing, that Mlima lazima ipasuke from Ruku. And Ruku, Kindiki has even mentioned at some point in time that he is not supporting a split of the mountain. Right? But those are narratives that have to happen so that Mount Kenya can become a place where William Ruto can draw some few votes. And let me tell you why this is important. And let me tell you what I want to do, a bit of a prediction in the future.
Okay.
Ndindi Nyoro right now has formed his party. It's called Kenya's People Party?
People of Kenya Party or what?
Is it PPK or KPP? I don't know. Ndindi Nyoro's party, what is the
It's called People's Party.
People's Party of Kenya, PPK.
People's Party of Kenya.
He has formed PPK, and he will do a beautiful effort to sell his party. In fact, he has a Meet the People tour tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yes.
Let me tell you what is going to happen because I have seen it. In the previous dispensation, when I first met Mundalo, I was in TSP. And at that point, the party leader had told us that we should stick to our own political party because then we will have a voice outside of the political machinations outside. So when the election period rolled around, everybody had the perception that we were going to William Ruto.
Yeah.
But then, of course, came the force that Azimio, which Mundalo was heavily campaigning for, and their money. They entered the political field with a lot of gusto. So there was a bit of a moment where we did not know where the chips would fall. So that's when I said we were neutral. But when we finally decided that we are going to support candidate William Ruto, let me tell you one of the first problems we would encounter on the ground. Like he said, the voter is not interested in political science or the DNA of your political agreements. They ask you very simplistic questions that they want an entire answer for, even if it is complicated. They used to ask us, sasa kama nyinyi ni watu wa Ruto, mbona msiingie UDA? And it happened in so many places. We would go to Nyandarua, they would tell us the same. We would go to Meru, they would tell us the same. We would go to Embu, they would tell us the same. That if you are really supporting William Ruto, why don't you just go into UDA? And we would now craft a narrative, tell them that, okay, we are supporting Ruto for president, but we need MPs so that if anything ever happens, we can question him. And it was a very hard sell to do.
Okay.
Because the mountain then had decided that the party was UDA. What is going to happen in Ndindi Nyoro right now is that he's going to sell his party very gallantly and very valiantly. But because the mountain and the feel of the mountain has already accepted DCP, you might find he will be the only MP elected on that party of his. Let me tell you why that is true. In Mount Kenya, there are about 82 MPs, including senators. In those 82, we had candidates in all Mount Kenya counties. And out of the 82 member of parliament seats, we got 2 in that against UDA. The MP for Laikipia East, who was the party leader, and the women rep of Tharaka Nithi, who is now the deputy party leader of the party. In Laikipia, my own county, out of 21 elected seats, 15 MCAs, we got 1. Out of 5 elected MPs, we got 1. And that should tell you the psyche of the mountain. That is why I am actually quite shocked when I see on this panel that people are so excited to ask me about Ndindi Nyoro because apparently now the mountain has a challenger. And I am asking, are you guys not students of history to know that that is almost inconsequential? Because the voter is very simplistic, Jagero. Right now, the voter in Mount Kenya, that is why you are seeing these movements around MPs wanting to come to DCP or move away from William Ruto at the very least.
Okay.
Because the voter is asking them, wewe uko kwa William Ruto na William Ruto ametufinya. So the first thing that they receive is that you cannot be with William Ruto. If you go on this other side, if you go on this other side,
as
then,
you finish, what is it that Ndindi Nyoro is getting from the government that is making him stick around there? Because that is what
you would have to find him and ask him, because the rumors on the streets
you have also analyzed the situation so well politically. So then, in the same breath, I think you can actually try to.
Politicians have interest, and I think there's a point that Mundalo raised that is quite.
Somebody said that he was given 87 million. Is that all?
I don't know. The point is quite poignant that it goes back to the citizen, because Ndindi Nyoro himself. Has said we cannot have a country where politics is the most lucrative career. He has said that. Everybody aspires to be a politician. Why? Because, 1, your interests are taken care of, and 2, your interests could even get enlarged tenfold. So, my deductive reasoning, again, this is just an opinion I have, my deductive reasoning would tell me that he has had interest with government, that he has not been able to let go, or he has not been able to cut off completely. And now it has come to a point where it is not only about his interests, it's about his political survival. And if you know anything about jurisprudence of the law, people always act towards self-preservation. When it comes to the point of interest versus preservation, people choose preservation.
He refused to say he took one term in his presser yesterday.
Refuse is a big word.
But I think he's being...
You sound like he was told to say.
You see, I wouldn't care if he says one term or 2 term, but the point I'm driving here is that
it is interesting that he said that he's joining the opposition, but he did not say that Ruto needs to go home. Neither did he say that. Neither did he say one term.
That political perception.
Yeah.
What I'm talking about is a manifestation of what you're talking about, because now he has to align to where the people are, which is in opposition.
Yes. Let me to land. Land in 1 second. Yeah, land in 1 second.
You guys donated your time to me.
Yeah, you said you should speak for 40 minutes.
It's actually over.
No, they're not over.
My point
he's agitated.
Yes, the excitement I see. The excitement I see around Ndindi Nyoro from people who are now looking, and if you notice that excitement is always what is now going to happen to DCP.
Yeah,
I can tell you nothing is going to happen to DCP, because first of all, Ndindi Nyoro has to work with the realities of politics. He must climb an uphill task, and that uphill task includes telling people of Mount Kenya why he's in opposition now after he has been with government for so long.
Okay, yeah, Mundalo, Ndindi Nyoro is between a rock and a hard place, and I know that you might have bankrolled Ndindi Nyoro as a government, but pack that aside.
Absolutely,
pack that aside and talk to me about the politics of the mountain. Forget about where Ndindi Nyoro is coming from. Who is giving them the 90 million to tour the Mount Kenya?
I don't know why you are labeling me before you hear my comment. You are affecting how the viewer listens to me, but it's fine.
Okay.
I've always said it even here, that Ndindi Nyoro is a master of doublespeak.
Okay.
He is a person who always exercises political convenience, but will always want to sound intellectual. And that's why most of the time you hear him, when the politics is working for him, he is entirely on that side. That's how we were with him in Jubilee, when the politics was working for him. When the politics was not working for him, he looked for a good reason to run away from President Uhuru Kenyatta, because that was convenient to do then. In the same breath, he did that exactly with this administration, that when the Gen Z went to the streets and complained about the finance bill, he was at its helm as the chair of the budget committee. But then, because he was then fired, remember he did not resign. When he gets fired from being the chair of the budget committee, now he's an expert of finance and economics, and he should be the one guiding the country and telling us what needs to be spent where. And that's why, from a person who really believes in leadership of consistency, he is not one of those leaders that I highly admire. But during the launch of what he did yesterday, the first thing I must say is that I liked the optics, because I like the packaging of what he did. It came out in an organized manner, quite presidential, looking like he really knows what he wants to do. And he is among the first people who are purporting to be in the one-term brigade who has an attempt at solutions of the country. So I liked the packaging in itself. Part of me was feeling like that is what I've always felt. Something close to that is what I've always felt Sifuna needed to do, so that he can be taken a bit more seriously. And that's why you can be able to see that...
Yeah, Adrian, did you mind listening?
Whereas
I see you're on your phone and something big is going on.
Whenever they mention Leader Mwananchi, anything that is against us becomes so exciting.
Can I proceed?
No, come on.
I think
there is a way you keep you are turning me into Ndindi Nyoro, and I'm going to accept this.
I'm just 1 minute in.
Yes, he's 1 minute in.
Spoken for 46 minutes.
He's 1 minute in.
So I was saying that Ndindi Nyoro is not one of those people that I really consider highly because of his doublespeak, and because I consider him one of those politicians who exercises politics of convenience. But in the launch of his political party, I liked the optics. I liked the packaging. He was able to come out more seriously, and that's why when you see a person who is doing something being streamed live, I think across 3 media houses, that shows depth and also the message that he had in terms of just providing the solutions that he thinks the country should be able to look like this. So that packaging for me was good enough, and I was saying that's what I hoped that Sifuna would do. My only problem with most of his messaging is that he needs a new constitution, because all your solutions cannot be pegged on a new constitution, because every solution that he has for the country cannot survive this constitution. He says we need legislation to change the law. In every solution, he needs legislation to change the law, because at the end of the day, I expect that when someone wants to run for the office of the president, you first of all make us imagine the country as it is now and how you'll make it better as it is, not from just the framework of everything you're saying needs a new law. But then what will be the impact of this in terms of the Mount Kenya politics? Whereas I agree that I doubt that he will have up to 40% penetration where DCP has already gathered ground. There is one thing that he comes in with, where he presents Mount Kenya with a formidable option. Because as it stands today, Mount Kenya has a dominant party with a party leader who can't run for president, at least according to the law of the land today. So this presents them with an option of a person who can actually run for that office. And number two, it presents him with a person who can be built for the future. There is a reason why today when you go to Bungoma, there is excitement around Sifuna. It's not because there is something huge he has done for them. Not because there is something Sifuna has done for any people in Western Kenya. But the excitement is centered around the hope of the future, that this is a young person that we can start building for the future. Ndindi Nyoro presents that to the mountain, and you can't wish it away. Remember, he's not just an ordinary member of parliament like Nani was. He's a member of parliament with quite a national outlook. I can't really deny him that. He has quite a national outlook. He's a member of parliament that someone in Bungoma would know. He's a member of parliament that someone in Turkana would know. And therefore, he has quite a national attribute, which makes him believable when he wants to say that he wants to aspire for the future. And because normally human beings by nature, they are selfish, and self-preservation is always their highest instinct, I will not be shocked to see Murang'a as a county now want to coalesce around this hope of theirs and start having squabbles around themselves, saying, wait a minute, we have supported you guys from wherever, we have supported others from wherever, why can't you guys support us from Murang'a? The conversation that is in Mount Kenya East can degenerate into Murang'a, and these ones can now want to say, wait a minute, okay, fine, we are okay with the DCP, but you guys cannot provide a presidential candidate. We have one within us. Why can't you guys support us in that? I foresee such kind of a thing. But generally within his launch, I think the optics was good, but I also saw a bit of lack of confidence in himself. One, he didn't come out outrightly to say he's the party leader of that party. He scattered around the bush. He didn't really come out very straight. Because you see, when you mean to do something, you go ahead and say it. He looked like he's in doubt of himself in terms of the party. He seemed to sneak in the party. He seemed to sneak in his position in the party, which to me looked quite interesting in terms of what are your confidence levels on this.
I think his uncle was already mobilizing. Even as he was planning his press conference, his uncle Mewa Munyoro was mobilizing heavy against him. But
he also said that he has consulted everybody. And I felt, okay, fine. Was it very really necessary to say so, especially when you know? I think if he's a good student of politics, he knew very well that Wamunyoro will refuse the fact that he said he consulted him. So I don't know that it was a very convenient point to say. And also, I look at, there is this other point he said that when he was reading his
speech,
Yeah, and he kept saying that every time he read it, I don't know that you saw, he kept saying, I wrote this myself. And I kept wondering, if you wrote it yourself, what is the
do you know if you guys wrote it for him?
No, I'm not saying anyone wrote it for him, but I'm just saying from a psychology perspective.
It was interesting. His body language was pretty dubious.
His body language didn't come out very well. And also when I look at now, most of the way now there where I agree with Wesley is that most of what he says about the problem of the politics, the public would see the problem in him. Because he says people cannot enrich themselves in politics. He's a young politician, and when people see the wealth that he has, his shares, his public shares at KPLC and all this, people are wondering, okay, fine, and where did all this actually come from? Because they do not know any other source away from you coming from Kenyatta University and then joining the politics. So most of the problem he prescribes on the country
Yeah.
He looks like a good model of the problem.
Yeah.
But by and large, I think the presentation was
I want to ask you a question, and the
presidential.
question I want to ask you, I would ask Bolo also, and Mr. The TikTok lawyer to chime in on it.
Yeah.
He's extremely excited that now that we have let Linda Mwananchi alone, so that's a good thing.
Not the panic.
So
yes,
let's work with assumptions then.
Yes.
The assumption is that we have. So Nyoro has decided that, well, he's not running,
Yeah.
and he decides, okay, Sifuna is the presidential candidate, and deputed by Kalonzo Musyoka, okay, and then we have Ndindi Nyoro,
Yes.
saying, okay, I'm going for this,
Yes.
and he's on the president, he's on the ballot.
Yeah.
What do you think happens?
There is a good section, a good amount of people from the mountain, especially Murang'a County, who actually go ahead and vote Ndindi Nyoro. Because we have to also remember that our tribalism sometimes can be very chaotic, and sometimes it can be very careless. That we have people who will just get to the ballot, and when they see their tribesman on the ballot, that is the one they will actually vote for, especially when he is a formidable candidate. It's different when you have Ndindi Nyoro on the ballot,
Yeah.
and when you have Geoffrey Kuria on the ballot.
Yeah.
And don't ask me who Geoffrey Kuria is. I also don't know him. I'm just trying to say that that's an ordinary human being. But this is a formidable politician with a bit of a credentials and a name that you really cannot be able to ignore. So I foresee that if you put that ticket, then there is a good section of the mountain that actually votes their own person, because the conversation then becomes, what is our space in this other government? Because they will be asking Nyoro, okay, fine.
Yeah.
This Sifuna is president, Kalonzo is deputy, or vice versa.
And that is
our place in this
and that is the problem with Wesley and his party, because they are really going nowhere. But let me
they are going somewhere. They can't go nowhere.
You see.
As far as Mount Kenya is concerned,
I'm asking because they have no presidential.
No, they have no presidential.
Let me tell you. You see,
I wanted to go to Bolo first.
What they have,
allow me to have right of response.
What DCP has today is someone called a presidential hopeful.
Okay.
But they might not necessarily end up having a presidential candidate.
And
because
let
a
me
hopeful
tell you,
is anyone who hopes to be president.
Let me tell you
Okay.
that.
Okay.
See, you cannot. Your lack of understanding cannot be our problem if we communicate.
All right.
I've consistently told you.
Okay.
How you choose to interpret the law is upon you. The onus rests with the court. Again, I have continuously said, until the point where that matter is decided, you cannot say that there is no presidential candidate.
Okay.
In fact, I would even tolerate what Mundalo is saying in presidential hopefulness. In fact, that is how all aspirants of president are called, hopefuls.
Yeah.
That notwithstanding, what Mundalo has said would be true if, again, Ndindi was not competing against a political perception opposition, right? You see, right now, that thing you're talking about, people will want to ask themselves, because they will want to ask themselves, okay, so Ndindi, you are a formidable candidate, as Mundalo is saying.
Yeah.
However, you are working with the man who has oppressed us as a mountain.
Okay.
And when it comes to that, then it stops being about.
But that is you saying. That is you saying.
Allow me to finish.
Okay.
Jagero.
Okay. Fine.
Then people will have to ask: it is a question of supporting this formidable candidate or us surviving William Ruto? And again, they will choose survival. Let me tell you why that. I think that is his submission is valid, but it only misses that point of context. See, even in Kiharo constituency. In Kiaro constituency, there are 6 wards.
Yeah.
Only 3 are occupied by members of county assembly from UDA. The rest have been split between, I think, independent ANC and another party that I don't know. However, that should tell you that the homogeneousness that you think Murang'a will produce is not something that happens when it compares or competes with a narrative. And that narrative right now is that we do not want anyone who has even the smell of William Ruto around him. And if Ndindi cannot beat that narrative now, that he is not a William Ruto representative, then he will not succeed. And that is why I started by saying, who are the people who are congratulating him most? There are people from government. So now, even the government, even now Mundalo saying that he's a formidable candidate, is working against Ndindi Nyoro.
Yeah.
Because regardless of how sound that reasoning is, it still gives that stench of William Ruto on him. And that is something that you will not convince the average voter. Because they will ask, where have you been? Umekuwa wapi? Kwa nini umekuwa mwerevu sahi?
Can I get something from Bolo and then to Mr. Oloch? Oloch, you know you're the youngest.
You're saying
you're the youngest.
That's the reason why you're perpetuating this prejudice.
He's labeling you before you. Don't worry.
Don't worry.
I'm used to that. I will protect you.
But you know you're my younger brother.
There's this quote
you know you're my younger brother.
I think has a question for me.
Yes. Yes.
No, let him ask after I contribute because Wesley will take 5 hours to defend.
Yes. It's not necessary to. Okay. So don't answer it. Let Bolo answer it.
You've noticed a pattern.
I see that. Let me ask you to Bolo. When you look at Rigathi Gachagua, today he is one of the most exciting politicians. Like the politician that comes out and really people are so interested. When he has a rally, people will be very, very interested. Even if he goes to Nyanza, there will be a crowd there.
Yeah.
Now, when he goes live online, you see so many people tuning in. Can you confidently tell me that all those people who actually tune in to listen to him would vote for him when he was to be on the ballot as a presidential candidate? And how will they compare if they are faced with the reality of voting someone to be president, even the ones in DCP and those followers of Rigathi Gachagua, when they have the option of Rigathi and Ndindi Nyoro?
I should have actually let him answer that question. But what I'll say is we are all familiar with politics, and we know that online likes don't necessarily translate into votes. But I've said this time and time again that Gachagua is doing an excellent job as opposition, and therefore he should remain in opposition, because we've seen he's been tested with power when he was a deputy president, and we saw how that went. So I don't think Kenyans would vote for him if he was on the ballot as a presidential candidate, regardless of who he was paired with. I really don't think Kenyans would vote for him. Kenyans love how Gachagua has come out in opposition, how he has, given us the secrets that we never thought we would ever hear.
Kenyans didn't vote for Ruto.
I mean, we had Peter Kenneth. Do you remember how people wowed Peter Kenneth? But where is Peter Kenneth now? We know that they don't necessarily translate. But what I wanted to say about Ndindi, before I spoke about the de facto opposition leader now, is Ndindi, the suspicion that Ndindi Nyoro is experiencing is as a result of his own doing. Yeah. Because he was in between a rock and a hard place, but he chose to, the way they say, fisi huwa naenda njia mbili. He chose to pick both difficult places, and I will say why. In every election, there are the faces that represent a generation's ambition. In the last election, it was Sakaja and Mutula Kilonzo, and we saw them, the media would put them side by side in the different elections, bring them on the bench. We were imagining that under Sakaja and Mutula Kilonzo, we are going to have a very beautiful country with flying cars. We had hopes. But we all know what is happening now. Now, in this particular generation, their face of ambition happens to be Ndindi, Babu, and Sifuna. Now, the undoing that Ndindi has is when he started missing, very critical discussions in Parliament. Yeah. That then became his problem, because we realized the Ndindi that we know is missing in action when he doesn't want to go against government. And what he would do is to then present us with photos of him in class on his social media pages, sort of to communicate that, guys, I've only retreated because I am, studying, but I am still with you. That is where his undoing started, when people were not able to really see that he is coming out very strong to stand for something. there are people who have tried to say that Ndindi Nyoro is the current Mount Kenya, is the current tomboya of Mount Kenya. And they've said, he's also risen, because of merit.
Who is saying the tomboya?
Oratory. They're saying that Ndindi Nyoro is now the tomboy of Mount Kenya. And they're saying he has public command, he has oratory skills.
Hey.
But tomboya stood for something.
Okay.
He had programs that we could pinpoint and that touched across the country and not just specific constituencies. And that is why his story ended up, of course, in an unfortunate manner. But we're not seeing that in Ndindi Nyoro. We are not seeing Ndindi Nyoro say, I am standing for this and I'm coming out boldly to actually speak on it. So the suspicion around him has been caused by himself. And when Wesley says that, DCP is not worried, I don't think that is very true, because they have been propagating a narrative that why is it that Linda Mwananchi and other parties are being rejected and, Ndindi Nyoro's has been accepted. We don't know what those timelines look like. And of course, Adrian has told us that Linda Mwananchi has not been rejected. It's just been told to go under review. So it then shows that Ndindi Nyoro is a threat, because if someone is not a threat, you don't spend your time discussing them. The only thing I think they need to realize is them being threatened is giving Ndindi Nyoro the mileage that he actually doesn't have and will be struggling to get. So I think Ndindi Nyoro
would you say that he can quickly become the Sifuna of Mount Kenya?
If he changes his trajectory, yes. Because again, in politics, even a day is long in politics. We've all heard Kalonzo's story and how he became the deputy president.
What's your problem there, mate?
But when they were being put side by side and people were saying that this is the face of this generation, these are the young people that we want.
He's done better.
These are the conversations, the laws.
Yeah, he's done better than
you didn't have a problem with it. So in politics, even an hour is a long time. Anything can happen that then changes his trajectory. But the suspicion that there is, unfortunately, his own.
Adrian, do you think that this is a big addition to the opposition?
In fact,
big addition.
You people have talked so much about, the intention of Ndindi Nyoro's party. For me, I would love to critically, because we stand on principles as Linda Mwananchi, and the character and the moral consciousness of a leader. We need to critically question the character of somebody like Ndindi Nyoro. Ndindi Nyoro is someone who goes and holds town halls, telling people that if you want to become rich, the best way you can do it is through stock investment. But he does not tell people that he himself is an insider trader. That if you look at something like Kenya Power Lightning Company, whereby Ndindi Nyoro bought 30 million shares at around 2022 to become the largest shareholder of KPLC, when KPLC was making a loss of over 3 billion, he bought it at the most depressing time at just 1.4 shillings per share. But they don't tell you that Ndindi Nyoro had insider information, two critical insider information. The first insider information is that he knew William Ruto was going to be coming up with a critical project called the Last Mile Connectivity that was going to be pumping about 27 billion shillings into KPLC, that was going to oversee over 500,000 new homes connected to electricity. He knew what that would do to the stock market, so he already had that information. That was non-material public information. The second insider information that he had on KPLC, he knew that William Ruto was going to artificially strengthen the shillings from 150 to around 128. And what was that going to do to KPLC as a company? It was going to foresee that the financing cost of debts that KPLC had fell from 15 billion to 1.9 billion. What did that do to Ndindi Nyoro? Ndindi Nyoro, from 56 million shillings alone, he made 500 million shillings. Right now, it is also closing to almost 1 billion shillings. But he does not want to tell Kenyans that he's an insider trader. All he's telling Kenyans is that stop building rental houses and come and invest in stock markets. But he's not also, aside from also the insider information trading, he's not telling Kenyans that where is the huge initial capital coming from? Where are you getting that 56 million to invest in that particular company while you have also other projects that are worth more than that? But he's telling you, please, come and invest in stock market. Look at another character flaw of Ndindi Nyoro. There was a particular day when Ndindi Nyoro posted a very disturbing tweet supporting the rebel leader of Sudan. He posted a photo of Hemeti, the Sudan rebel leader, and he did that after all the genocide allegations were going on about him.
What was the caption of the picture? The caption was that
Hemeti, the general of RSF, Africa is our business. The slogan that he keeps using all the time. What he was saying was that he was praising Hemeti for whatever was happening in Sudan, especially after the fact that he took over the city of Khartoum at one particular point. And Hemeti, after that, was making different trips to see our president, even after he was being flagged by the ICC. Again, Ndindi Nyoro is the reason why the young people of Kenya died in Kenya. He voted yes for the finance bill. It is young people who are right now pulling up tabs and saying, who did you vote for in this finance bill that led to the death of over 100 young people? Ndindi Nyoro is part of the people who voted yes for that finance bill. And in fact, to make it worse when it comes to finance bill, you might think that maybe he reformed after his fallout with William RUTO. He went again in the finance bill 2026 that people are heavily against to be absent after holding over 10 press conferences to say that this is the wrong finance bill, that we need to restructure this. Then all of a sudden, he's in London taking a certificate in business, so he cannot be able to vote. This is someone that we have to question his critics. And one thing that you need to know is that Ndindi Nyoro is a very close business partner of William RUTO, especially proxies. And the reason for that is because he's brilliant when it comes to business. Part of the people who helped William RUTO to acquire CDN Bank was Ndindi Nyoro. Ndindi Nyoro, through a proxy company that was called Telscom, owned a certain stake in CDN Bank, while William RUTO was making a takeover in that bank. And that is not the only company that Ndindi Nyoro has a proxy with William RUTO. There are several companies. That is why Ndindi Nyoro cannot make a direct attack on William RUTO or a direct substantial resistance against this government, like voting against a certain bill. He cannot do it. Why? Because you understand that you have several different companies whereby you're a stakeholder together with the president and a business interest. So what happens with Ndindi Nyoro? He's confused between choosing the interest of the people of Mount Kenya and the interest of business that he has with William RUTO. So what does he do? Number one, he cannot join DCP. So he decides that he's going to form a new party so that he can have plausible deniability while at the same time retaining the support of both sides. He can say that I did not want to join DCP because of this. I am still in opposition. At the same time, he still has a new party that can even coalesce with the government. So those are the problems that I have with Ndindi Nyoro. Mine is a question of character. I don't want to know what he's planning for Mount Kenya. The people of Mount Kenya, let them decide.
Do you think that Ndindi Nyoro would rather lose the Kiharu seat than join DCP? Or go against William RUTO at that moment? Would he rather?
DCP is a formidable party in Mount Kenya. We have to agree with that. Even Murang'a, it can become very detrimental for someone like Ndindi Nyoro to vie under another party rather than DCP. I know he might be revered. I don't know about that. Maybe Wesley can tell us what is the popularity of Ndindi Nyoro in Murang'a.
We have a video about Murang'a people talking after the launch.
Yes, he might be revered, but also understand the monolithic vote of the Mount Kenya people is very powerful. What does that do to someone who, when the entire region, over 50 MPs vying on one political party, then you decide to come with another party. Then the party leader of that DCP party hates you more than any other person. He's outrightly criticizing you every day. What does that do to you as if you want to vie for the MP seat? You isolate yourself in a region whereby you now become a very indecisive person. So he found a way of trying to elevate himself politically while maintaining the trust of both sides.
Thank you very much. I think people of the internet, we have really no time left. I don't know if somebody wants to say the last word or we just close it.
That's a good place to end.
That's a good we end it here. Thank you very much, Mr. I'm surprised that you're very happy with Adrian. in his are you happy with him?
I mean, why would I be happy?
Today we have shared interests.
you see,
because you are excited. You are brightening up as
no. I mean, he's raising fundamental points that I have raised.
Okay.
And there's a question that was asked: do you think Mount Kenya would, if there is no, there's Ndindi Nyoro on the ballot and there's the other ticket supported by Gachagua?
Yeah.
I want to inform you first, or even if Gachagua is on the ballot versus Ndindi Nyoro, I want to inform you again. I am a very young man, but I have studied the politics of Mount Kenya, and I'm telling you, our people are a very peculiar people. Choices have more consequences than anything else, and when they want to reward or punish your choice, they do it in one full swing. They don't do it twice. You're asking if Ndindi Nyoro, because he represents a younger guy and a future for Mount Kenya, if that would be the decisive factor if he would be voted in as opposed to what Gachagua represents. I can tell you, in 2002, Kanu had Uhuru Kenyatta, who was 41 years old. Kibaki was 71 years old. 30 years difference. And when that point, Uhuru, representing the future of Mount Kenya, stood for presidency, people told him, mambo yako tuta decide baadaye. Kwa sasa tunaenda ile pande ya Kibaki. Sai mlima imeamua mambo ya William Ruto hatutaki, na chama ya mlima ni DCP, and that is final. You wait and you will see. You'll call me here to tell you if I am right or wrong.
Yeah, I want to thank you very much, Mr. Jeff Wesley. I want to thank you, Bolo, for coming today. It was a very beautiful conversation. Thank you very much, my friend, Mr. Mundalo, TikTok lawyer. You've given it a very hard-hitting, bow. And I wish you well with the Lino Mwananchi,
Despite your prejudice, I don't take your compliments. You can go to hell. Backhanded compliments. I don't take them. I'm your son, but I don't take them.
People of India, thank you very much. Until another episode, bye for now. My goodness. All right, people of the internet, I hope that you're enjoying this episode very much. And I just had a break to tell you about my new book. Everybody says that there is no job, and that is true. Also, that was me 10 years ago. The problem is that everybody is trying to get a job in their town, in their city, in their marketplace. They ask friends for jobs, mothers call uncles, uncles call brothers, but there are no jobs. Let me tell you what no one is telling you. Jobs migrated online. What I actually mean is there are many, many jobs around the world, and there is no one to do them except you. I work for Americans myself. I work for Europeans. I work for the Chinese. I work for the Australians. I work for the Canadians. And so, because I have done so much for myself, I said to myself, you know what? I should compile what I've been doing for the last 15 years. So in 2024, I wrote a digital book called Goldmine 18 Hustles for Africans. And then in 2025, AI came. People say AI is taking away our jobs. And for me, I'm going to say false. There are actually AI jobs. Jobs are not being taken by AI, but there are new jobs online that are there because of AI. Now, mimi ni nani? I created more jobs. And for now, in my new book, we have 25 online and offline jobs that you can leverage on if you do not have a job. So in this powerful volume 2, I share 25 new actionable online hustles specifically researched and tailored for Africans. My new book provides clear step-by-step guidance drawing from my extensive experience and research, including the mistakes I've made and lessons I've learned over the 15 years that I have worked online. So what can you do online? You can become an executive assistant for busy folks in Europe, America, Canada, and get paid for tasks like watching videos and taking online surveys. Okay? You can build a lot of things. Build a business as a virtual assistant, start an e-commerce shop without capital, be an affiliate marketer, or you can also become actually an English tutor and tens of AI jobs. If you have a job, that is fine. But I also know that you can buy this book for that brother, for that sister, for that mother, for that cousin, for that husband who is watching Netflix all day at home. Buy it for your friend who is always asking for cash. You know that friend. Now, all the information is on the description below. You can also inbox me, you can WhatsApp me, or go to my website, which is odworjegero.co.ke.